been a good long, but this is the level, and this is a huge level on the daily. It's a quadruple top. So for me, if it breaks trend on a false break here, I'm looking for just a VWAP retracement play to the south side. Shorts were relatively cheap. We do have Joey. Oh, before we go to Joe and Sharif, we're going to take you to the desk. I think we've got some news, and then we'll pop it over to Joey Options and Sharif the Professor.
Really quickly, guys, this is a $6 move for Boeing right here. BNAI, I was looking to kind of see what this headline was. There was one from 5 minutes ago. This could be the reason for this move. Apparently, an executive at Boeing during their call said that they delivered their first operational T-7A Red Hawk to the U.S. Air Force at Joint Base San Antonio. Back to you.
This sounds dangerous, Neil.
Why are you leaning in like that?
I don't know, man.
Boom! Greetings and salutations. Beautiful people, welcome back to the Midday Show. That's your boy, Joey Crutches, and I'm Sharif. And let's say hello to everybody. There's going to be a new Joey like nickname every day. We're going to try to figure one out. But you're a good sport like that, so I never even worry.
I'm good with that.
And Gaming TV. Shout out to you, Mike PD Rider. We got Joey Gets Distracted, and shout out to Rex Banner, Avil. We got Jesse. We got Yannick. We got Jody Joey. We got John Tarzan. Shout out to the Fluffsters, Fluffy Hippo. Another OG, the OG Gorev, MF Dangerous. Shout out to Andrew Chow. We got, who else, man? Jaguar Nut, Cowboy Mike. Sit and Spin. We got Ronaldo, Texas Boy, Spark Shop. Shout out to Scoogies, My Garn. All right, Dino. We got Nico Wagner. Shout out to West Music Factory and Gary Retired. Ooh. Dimitri's in the house. Robert Lewis is in the house. We got Eclectic Passions and Vizbot. Clutch One joining us as well. Who else? Kirk D. Show yourself, guys, if you're new. Holly. We got Jordy. We got Trader V. Eddie the Dealer. Who else? Robert Lewis. Wyatt. Rainmaker. TJ Kodak. Kirk. I said Kirk D. Canny. I thought it was Carney for a second there. Ooh. Rickick. And Green Saber 005. Joey Options.
Yes, sir.
There is a more than zero probability we are heading back to the polls in the spring. Word on the street is we may be going back to the election polls as a
snap election.
Snap election, yeah, whatever. Same business.
I don't know why we're going to spend the taxpayers' money.
Half a billy, Joey. It's not that much money. Don't worry about it.
We don't need to put that money anywhere else now. Here's to say, we'll get this out of here.
We'll get that out.
You're going to touch into it. But see, the thing is, though, Sharif, start to make fun of somebody when they can make fun of themselves equally as good. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Well, you said I'm a good sport about things.
You are. You're generally a good sport.
See, and I think I'm a good. I got the chirps as well too.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, I got the chirps.
I've seen it.
But see, the thing is, though, also don't forget that your boy, as an honorable mention pick, has Richtech Robotics.
Oh, so spin it.
We'll throw that up there and stir the pot a little bit, guys. All right, enough is enough. Let's get right into these markets and see what we got going on. Joey Joe Rogan, yes, sir. All right, guys, let's get right into what we were trading here today. We'll start it off with AAL. We take a short as it was holding the volume-weighted average price. We get 25% off right here, and then we get stopped out the remaining as it comes back in. So we're going to keep our eyes on a potential continuation to the downside here in AAL. So that one was working out pretty good for us. And then we also have Richtech Robotics. Yeah, this was unfortunate. We got out way too early, but that's okay. We get that move higher, and I'm like, you know what? It's starting to come against me. This pullback was a little bit deeper than what I like, so trailing stop on that. But, I mean, it's trending significantly higher. We did catch that bottom, but that is woulda, coulda, shoulda, and what if history. We don't necessarily play that. Now, what is on my radar here this morning, guys? Let's pull this up. That's going to be SLV, AAL, and Richtech Robotics. Also, we have the TQs. We want to keep an eye on the overall market and the SPY. Now, we have silver. We were talking about this yesterday, guys. Keep an eye out on this. Where's my boy Gorev at? Where are you? Los Polios and everyone who likes to use volume price analysis within their intraday or even swing trading. Here it is, right? Like, this is the largest volume print from a daily perspective that we've seen in a long, long time. Multiple years here on SLV. And then sure enough, we had buyers push price all the way up to around 107 roughly, a little bit north of that. And then sellers push it down. And then even in the post market, we were selling some more as well. So for the next couple of days, I have it written down. I have a short thesis here on SLV, and I like that we're starting to reject the volume-weighted average price. So I'm going to be looking to get involved on silver to the downside.
I like it, Joey. I like it very much. All right, let's get to work here, baby. All right, first we got a super, so we're going to say, what's up, Patrick? Thank you very much for the $2 super chat. Patty saying, looking for re-entry on AVAV. What's a good price? Let's look at AVAV for the OG Patty, and then we're going to look at what I've got on the side chart in the world of small cap gappers today. So let's look quickly here. AV. No, not AB. All right, AV. We got what? AeroVironment Inc., Joey. All right, so this is the daily. So right away, looks like we're definitely locked in a bit of a range here. In and around 400 looks like resistance. Immediately apparent, we rejected that level twice, whether it was in October or whether it was again recently here on the 16th of January. I like this price right here, Patty. This $300, number one, psychological support at 300-ish. Number two, take a gander at that breakout level back in June. Those were, I believe, all-time highs at the time. That 300 level, we drop a little bit, we go back to 200, then it's a rocket ship from September 9th onwards into that 400. So I like that 300 area. It's not bad. I'm also looking at the 200 moving and exponential averages. It seems to have found support there multiple times on the daily, whether it was as recent as mid-December or mid-December and early January, found a nice support at the 200 simple moving average, which is the purple line on my chart. The blue line is the exponential. I have them for different reasons. So 300 I like, 260 to 270 I certainly like as well. I would wait to see whether or not this starts printing higher lows and higher highs. Gives you that curling effect, Patty, off that $300 level. You don't have to catch a falling knife. Let it prove to you that the buyers are stepping in by waiting for higher lows and higher highs. If you don't want to wait, you get in 300 and then you DCA a planned dollar cost average into the 200. It found a clear area of support there. So I would like it in and around there. In case you're wondering what I'm talking about over here, sorry, I didn't put in the ticker. I do apologize. It is AVAV, which is AeroVironment, a $15 billion market cap, and it's a defense tech provider delivering integrated capabilities across. Okay, so that's going right into the defense watch list over here. We've been looking to add names. Thank you for that, Patty. I need more names on my military defense watch list. Yeah, Joey. I mean, let's cut the crap, bro. Yeah. The world is rearming, and there's going to be a lot of money to be made.
You and I were just talking about off camera is Canada is doing the opposite.
Well, domestically, but for the military, we're going to spend through the nose in the next decade. So hopefully,
I don't know if this is appropriate, but there's a reason why, in my opinion, there's a reason why it's really tough to invade America. When there's more guns than people.
Dude, okay, we'll get back from Madeira. But did you look at when President Trump was making certain overtures, the Canadian military actually diagrammed out a possible invasion from the south, and it's 2 days and it's over.
It's that, man.
We got to go to a day.
Yeah.
I have a couple pieces of news. I'll start here with the more, I think, recent and pressing one that would be LCID Neuro, which is in a robotaxi collaboration with Uber and Lucid, announcing that they are now testing autonomy on public roads in the California Bay Area, preparing for a launch later in 2026. So LCID, nice robotaxi update. You could check UBER with this as well, but Uber not moving. Lucid did get a bit of a pop. Boeing also on watch. CEO Kelly Ortberg continues his comments in this call. Boeing is up 13, was up as much as $13 from the lows on this call. Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg saying that 787 average rework is down 30%. They're trying to ramp that 737 rate up to 47 jets per month. So some commentary here from the call from the CEO and CFO. Just be aware, BA very much still volatile and moving, and Lucid with that robotaxi news. Back to you.
Very impressed with how Boeing was able to increase deliveries, doubling it essentially year over year in the month of December. We're going to do a deep dive into that on the news segment, so make sure you're sticking around with us at 1 o'clock. We're going to go through everything ad nauseum. All right, let's get to work here. So here are the small cap gappers that I'm keeping my eye on at the moment, but I do see there is one halted, but on low volume, so we'll neglect that one for now. What I like here is RDW. RDW looking real good. It had a really bad day yesterday right from the get-go, sold off quite aggressively from the top of the pre-market high to the low that we made at around 3 o'clock. We lost 17 3/4. It recovered a little bit, but you'll recall that RDW's been having a great couple of days, and you can always tell by whether or not this has been in play because I'll put the ticker in multiple times. I'll do it on a daily basis. I won't move it over from the prior day. So RDW, beautiful, taking out, I want to say Friday's high, which was in and around 13.5. Yeah, 13 3/4. It's since cleared that and then some. 14.55 high, dropping down now into what I perceive to be an interesting level. I see a buy area here on RDW between 13.50 to 13.75. The reason I say that is the closing prints on this breakout here right at 940, so the implied balance high ends up rejecting 13.75, but the closing prints are all at or below 13.50. So that creates a buy zone for me, a 25 penny buy zone. That doesn't hold. Your boy's looking at the volume weighted average price here at 13.25. But I have to say this again, I'm sorry. This has to be a buy zone. VWAP's at 13.25, but very clear area of price action resistance at 13. Take a gander there, what we did in the pre. From 720 to about 825, we couldn't shake that seller at 13. That all changed, of course, right at 935 when the volatility and the volume, I should say, came in at the open. So RDW, 1350 to 1375, buy zone number 1, 1325 to 13, buy zone number 2. We'll see how this one goes. But I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Rich Boy. No, I'm sorry, Richtech Robotics. No, this looks fantastic. I mean, it looked like it was going to sell off quite aggressively from that 8 a.m. spike. We're trading below the volume weighted average price, but that all changed at around 10 o'clock on volume, mind you. This candle here, the breakout candle, 1.6 million shares, puts us decidedly above VWAP, and now we're leaving VWAP in the rear view. In fact, we're not even touching the 10 EMA on the 5, so strong is the price action the last time we touched that 10 EMA, 10.25. So what I'm going to be looking for is a hold of prior area low, and as Obi would say, I'm looking for a holding of structure here. I don't want to see a break of structure. And what I mean by structure is like, look at this. We consolidate, stair step up. Consolidate, hold the prior area resistance as support, break up again, then hold prior area resistance as support, break up again. So let's see if we can take out that $5 area, 495 high on RR. HUYA also probably should feature into your small cap gappers today. It's not a big, it's about a little bit below 20% at the moment, 19.89. Looks like it might be a flat top here at 435, and let me make my case as to why. Area low, higher low. So what does that mean? That means we got a whole bunch of higher lows, all the while we're all rejecting at that 435 with the high being 437. That's an ascending wedge, and to me, it makes it a good flat top break candidate. Where we go, your guess as good as mine. We can do some TA in a little bit. PHG. This one was a monster in the aftermarket yesterday. Goodness gracious. From the closing print at $4.09 to the high in the aftermarket, we were up an eye-watering here. 165%, and that was freaking quick, man. 405 breakout, and we got to the high, I want to say at 5. So within an hour, we were up 165% on PHG. Now, it doesn't look that great. Area high, lower high, yes, and we're still fighting that lower high. So that's unbroken, okay? And I'm not talking about the CrossFit, the clothing line. You ever seen that one, unbroken? No, the CrossFit clothing line?
No.
It's like because you can do like, pull-ups, dips, unbroken because you're gangster.
Savage.
Sorry about that. You're savage. I love this.
I hit the gym for the first time in 2 weeks yesterday.
Upper
But I can
body?
only hit the machines. Yeah. That's all.
Who cares, bro? That's exactly.
Yeah.
I told you, your upper body's gonna be tunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, dude.
We're ready to rock and roll, man.
PHG, guys. I'm looking at PHG over here. What I'd like to see, though, is a decided break of that pre-market high. So that that official high of the day, 940. We got into, I want to say, 795. This one, could be a double top, could be a nice breakthrough 8. Let's let it break that downtrend line. But PHG is up 83%. It's got a feature on your list there. Sorry, Joe. I got a couple more. XHLD. XHLD, yes. I see the super chat, Brent. I'll get to it in 1 second. Let me just go through XHLD. This one also beautiful breakout at 940. Did basically nothing in the pre on almost no volume, but it's doing plenty of volume now. It's got 58.2 million shares traded. The problem with this though is we see this a lot, right? Where it has its best move, in this case is 290, and then we start bringing in the lower highs, the unbroken lower highs, and that's exactly what we're doing here on XHLG. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is it's still strong enough to stay above the volume weighted average price, which is currently at around 230. But that ain't the move, because it can give up VWAP quicker than you can say, how do you do? So what I'm going to be looking for here is a decided break of that down trend line to show me, that the buyers are regaining control. I'm going to be looking for that trend line break, as well as the first 5-minute candle to make a new high. We're going to keep an eye on XHLD. And GITS was the #1 gapper in the market, but that has since lost its way, and it looks like it's on the way down to 4, possibly even worse. 5.25 is where VWAP is, so this is going to have to trend or move $1.25 for me to get involved. Now, let's have a look at what the OG Brent was saying there. Thank you, Brent, for the $5 super chat. It reads as follows. Thank you, Sharif, for talking about RDW. I have a coffee for you and your boy Joey options. I sold, look at this, 200 at $14.50 and 10 at $12.50 contract today. That's your world, Joey.
Yeah, nice work, man. We love seeing that stuff.
Appreciate
congratulations. Don't spend it all at one place, as I typically like to say. Make sure you hold on to some and make sure you put on some more good trades. Keep those risk measures in check, and then sure enough, you're going to be continuously doing that over and over again. All right, enough is enough. Let's get into some AAL. We're going to try this one more time. If we break 1430s, then we're going to get out of this trade, no worries. So we'll give it approximately 15 cents, a little bit less, 13 to be exact. But we're going to try to get that test of the low a day once again. We're in the exact same size that we were before and looking to take a little bit more off. I told you I only took 25%. We're going to take a 33 slapper right at 13.95. if we are privileged enough to get that low here on AAL, American Airlines. Now, as for Richtech Robotics, looks like it wants to head to that $5 mark, guys. Some big-time moves. Gorev, this is why I'm in AAL and loss, and for all my VPA traders. Anyways, we got two inverted prints right here, right at the volume-weighted average price. So we're having the inability to breach that specific indicator and head anywhere higher. So that's what we got going on, and we're slightly ITM. We like that as the Nasdaq and the SPY continue to grind to the top side, led by the likes of NVDA. I bought some more NVDA on Thursday and Friday, one in the long term, and then I'm also swinging a little bit currently right now from $87. So let's see if that's going to continue to climb. Maybe we can get up to 200. Leading into the earnings report. We have been stuck in a sideways consolidation for quite some time. Are we going to break out? I think buying the high isn't a horrible strategy either. Like, you got to take into consideration how many times the SPY in 2025 made a new all-time high, right? So if you get into the middle of pack with that, then sure enough, you're just continuously hitting those new marks. And here it is. We'll bring it up. Wow, 1 second, Adair. That's AVG. Yeah, I know Richtech is up to $5. Your boy's got that on his honorable mention picks. Let's go. Yeah, I'm gonna drive you guys nuts with that. No, I'm obviously only being sarcastic, but here it goes, guys. We're starting to head to the top, towards the top end of this zone. 195 is going to be a key area. We're gonna go over to Adara, and then we're gonna look at the supply zones via the options chain here on NVDA.
The Boeing call continues. We get comments now from the CFO of Boeing saying that they expect 90 to 100 787 jet deliveries this year. That would be up on a year-over-year basis. We also did have some comments from CEO Kelly Ortberg as well, saying that he doesn't think there's going to be any supply chain issues ramping up their production for the 737s from 42 to 47 per month. However, he does think it'll be a bit tough to ramp up production eventually from 47 to 52. Back to you. BA call continues.
Thank you for that.
Can I just mention it super quick? Or do you have...
Go ahead, man.
Yeah?
I don't got anything.
Guys, we have a new IPO today. Shout out to Yannick, the OG, VTIX. It's Virtuix Inc. Going to be trading today. Today is the 27th, correct? Yes. Okay, so it's not open yet. It's a typical, not your typical tech IPO. It's a Kickstarter to Nasdaq success story. Virtuix is company behind Omni, that 360-degree treadmill you've likely seen viral in viral VR gaming videos? No. Listing type, direct listing. It's a DL. It's not an IPO. Interesting. Okay. Meaning the company didn't issue new shares to raise money, but allowed existing shareholders to sell. Market cap, we're talking about $250 million. Looks like Mark Cuban has a connection to this. He famously passed on the company during Shark Tank years ago, but later changed his mind and invested on 3 separate funding rounds. I'm seeing a tap here of $30. I don't know what the IPO was. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more digging into that, but VTIX on the NQ, we'll see how this one is gonna look. I don't know why it's showing me 20 over here when the tap is showing 30. Let's take a quick look at the imbalance locator to see if we can find any information. We're gonna have to switch to the Nasdaq on this one, so we'll just go like that. We'll switch from New York to Nasdaq, apply okay. Let's go by paired volume. Let's see, VTIX, am I seeing anything? No, let's go to size. VT, do you see it?
No, I don't see it.
Neil, is there a search thing in this or no?
Probably not.
Alphabetical, perfect, Neil, thank you. Symbol, perfect. We'll just go all the way down to V. Show yourself, VTIX. I'm not seeing it. Oh, here. There it is, okay.
Got it.
So sell side with size of 4. And they've paired 496 shares. Okay.
All right,
So needless to say, this is kind of small. Maybe maybe we'll delve into this one as much. I'm going to leave it on my last screen here, Joey, in case it really gets moving. We can trade it like a small cap.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. All right, guys, let's take a look at what we got going on here in the chain. In the chain world, I was just we're not part of the chain gang or anything like that. There, Sharif. But listen, see this contract. When you say lies, that's crazy. I mean, let's take a look here, guys. I'm going to get involved in a little bit of silver as well. Just small. If it breaks, and sorry, I'm just jumping around a little bit. We're gonna get right back in. If we do crack 99.37s, then I'm gonna get out. We're printing 99s right now, so I do like our chances. But this is the January 30th 190 call, and this is where we're gonna be running into a lot of supply. Once we're $10, you're gonna lose 70% of the value of that contract right there. So keep an eye on this and how NVDA, the underlying itself, starts to react around that 190 zone. You can see that we're up to 189.89, which isn't horrible, but I want to be a little cautious on this. So let's head back over to the actual underlying and see what we got going on from a 5-minute standpoint to see if we're starting to slowly top out. And we have been consolidating within this supply zone for quite some time. So keep an eye out on what we've got going on here with NVDA at 190, just in case there is somewhat of some selling pressure starting to step back into this name. Now, we are short a little bit of SLV just due to the volatility increase. We start relatively small. We're still in that AAL short. We're going to bring that up momentarily. Let's see if we can breach 98s here on SLV. That would be primetime Deion Sanders. And then sure enough, here we go. We're in at the exact same price roughly that we were before in AAL. This is definitely going to be more of a slow mover, right? Like you have these ebbs and flows within it. The stronger momentum was definitely out of the gates and that opening auction. So keep an eye out on that. And sure enough, let's see if silver, we'll pull that up for you guys right now, is going to slowly start to break down. Again, I'm out of this really quick. If it wants to continue its grind higher, I have no issues with this, but I'm going for something from a daily perspective, bigger picture, bigger time frame. Now, I missed the opportunity on this retest of 100. We didn't get quite to 100, 99.87, and then we made that second leg down. I was thinking short silver this morning, and I'm going to be thinking silver until we break the top end of yesterday's candle print high. Then I'm going to continuously think somewhat of a short here on SLV. It's been on a big time run. I am counter trending right now from the bigger picture, but from an intraday standpoint, I think we are slightly going with the flow. So let's see if we can get sellers to step back in. Yeah, Richtech Robotics is going to 510, I think. Let's head over there real quick. We're going to take a look at the options chain on Richtech, and then we'll send it over to Sharif and see what we got going on from an activity standpoint. Starting to see an increase. At the money IV, 170%, my boy.
All right, man. Today's coverage is supported by Electrocore Inc., a NASDAQ-listed bioelectronics technology company trading under the symbol ECOR. Electrocore develops non-invasive neuromodulation therapies designed to activate the vagus nerve with products spanning prescription medical devices and consumer wellness. Its flagship Gamma Core product, or platform I should say, is FDA cleared for multiple headache indications, while its Truvaga and Quell products expand the company's reach into wellness and chronic pain. With growing adoption across the VA, international healthcare systems, and direct-to-consumer channels, electroCore, guys, is building a diversified, high-margin, Joey, bioelectronic business. To learn more, you need to check them out at electrocore.com. Shout out to them. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on how electroCore is doing. All right, I'm in, what's it called? Give me a second here. What's the low of this candle? 86, sure. Well, let's get in here to RD or RDW. How come it's not letting me in? Oh, we are in, okay. So prior bar low. Yeah, I'm front running this, so just full disclosure here. This might not be a good trade, 1386. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna punch out 1384. We'll give this a little bit of room and see if RDW wants to kind of clear that $14 area decidedly. It's been a bit of a tougher trade on this one. So let's put over here a Beak-Wetter through 14. We'll go 1405. We'll see what comes. 14 rocketing right back up. Let's see if there's resistance at the whole dollar level. It's been zigging. It's been zagging. I also jumped into Richtech Robotics at 5. I'm not giving it a lot of room. We're at $5, so this could be a make or break area. I know this is psychological resistance, but the prior bar low gives me the opportunity to kind of deal with that. So I'm going to put my out in the low 90s there, so we'll give it a little bit of room here, up 32%. If it really gets aggressive and takes out 5, I'd like to have some sort of skin in the game and not have to chase this above 5 into the teens. If I get stopped out, I'm looking certainly at that 490-ish area because there was resistance earlier. It's also a little bit above the 10 EMA, so it would be a good buy zone. If that doesn't hold, it's the same area that we talked about before, that 470 to 450 area based upon the breakout level and the volume weighted average price. So going to keep a close eye on that. How we doing here on RDW? In the 3 we go. No prints yet because I'm waiting at 5, so we're going to have to pack the patience there. PHG's doing nothing. And I had hopes that this one might actually kind of break above this trend line, but it's certainly getting resistance at the area that we expected, man. I mean, this was the 940 implied balance high. We couldn't shake the seller there, and we couldn't shake him again at 1110, 1115, yet again at 1120, and then down we go. We're $1 off the local area highs there, trying to break down into $7. Now, there is this higher low trend that's happening on PHG. It's not my favorite type of setup based upon where it is on the chart, but it's something to account for. We are putting in higher lows. So it could be, you know, an early indication that the longs may slowly start being, overpowering and overwhelming the shorts. We'll have to wait and see to see whether that happens or not. And then this is not a small cap gapper by any means, but it is a CoreWeave, I think, leveraged ETF. Let me just tell you how much. It's 200% daily leveraged exposure. CRWG looks fantastic. So it's not a small cap gapper. It will move to CoreWeave's beat, but it is more, you know, I want to say you can size into this one a lot more because it's like $6. Right? And it looks fantastic on the trend. And here comes 6. 597. I was looking at this one earlier at 575 when we put it on the side chart, and it's all gas, no brakes right now. Let's see if it can take out $6. Let's go to the 4-hour chart to see whether we're going to encounter any local area of resistance. Hell no, baby. The only area we have over here is 675, and that takes us all the way back to November 6th. And it was a double bottom there, so an 8-hour area low. The real, though, trough looks like to be at around 9.5. I want to say 9 to 9.5. That is back on October the 22nd that we put in those levels. This is CRWG, not CRWV. There goes RDW into, okay, so it's breaking prior bar high now, and it's got a whole bunch of highs. Get it, Joey Options. We're going to look to wet the beak here at 14s, and then let's layer some orders into the 20s as well. We're going to pack the patience here on RDW. Let's see if this one can reclaim the day high, 1455. We're going to the Adara for the crypto segment.
Really quickly before we get to crypto, we did have some comments a couple of minutes ago from Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg on the Trump administration saying that the admin, quote, understands the importance of the commercial aerospace industry to the U.S. economy. That did give the stock a little bit of a pop. Again, up quite significantly from its intraday lows. Let's talk about Bitcoin, though. BTC basically flat in the session. This is not a super exciting session here for crypto, but it is worth noting we have some comments from noted bull Fundstrat managing partner Tom Lee. Now, Tom Lee believes that Bitcoin and Ethereum are likely to rally, but only after the rally in metals ends. Because his theory here is that once you have this metal excitement, the gold and the silver rally, it's basically distracting investors here from crypto and saying that that's why crypto is lagging. You've got deleveraging and investor FOMO shifting towards these metals plays. That being said, once the metals rally ends, at least in his opinion, that's when you're going to see some strength pick back up in crypto. He also said the fundamentals for Bitcoin right now are better than they were in October. Now in October, we were trading, as you can see here, actually above that 100,000 level. So obviously technicals a little bit better in October, though Tom Lee would argue that the fundamentals are better right now. So interesting commentary from Tom Lee of Fundstrat, on Bitcoin. Ethereum continuing to look similar to BTC in the daily chart, except today, Ethereum actually not only flat, but breaking out. Let's see if ETH can crack above that 3,000 level. I'm just seeing comments here from Ming Chi Kuo related to ASML. I haven't read through them yet, but I'll take a look here at the ASML chart. Not too much of a reaction here, a bit of a double top here for ASML, but he's basically saying that there's going to be a Carl Zeiss SMT, I guess, supplier is going to be changing their ASP immersion capacity to meet demand from ASML. ASML breaking to new day's highs. Back to you.
All right, good stuff. Thank you very much for that, Adara. Yeah, Lewis, there we go, man. We're starting to get a little bit of a breakdown here. It's kind of annoying because what I have VWAP here is the data starts documenting obviously at 4 a.m. This starts at 6 a.m. So it's drastically different. I have a 50 cent variance between what we got going on with silver VWAP on my charts and what we have here on P8. So a lot of a bigger difference. But I'm still involved here. AAL really starting to work out for us here, guys. You can see that on the screen there. We're short from 14.17. We're now trading down to 14.08. So we're getting that move down here. And I told Lewis that my target is going to be around 98. So we're going to try to diamond hands Deontay Wilder this until that level. So we'll hold on. It's either going to stop me out or we hit target. We start taking some bits out, and the momentum slowly starting to step in. Let's get our quote highlights on here as well, too, guys, just so we can see the imbalance on kind of the level 2. If there is any form of them, right, we want to look for that ladder. Where's the real strength? Where are participants really starting to place themselves? And sure enough, there we go. We're going down to 98.38. So we get a 50 cents just like that, Sharif, to the downside in SLV. And AAL starting to head to the downside for us as well, too. So now we're at 98.20s. The volume weighted average price on P Pro will take a little bit off here. Only 30. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. That could have been really dangerous, my brother. You got to make sure you hit the right keys. We're not going to make the same mistake that we did yesterday, even though it did end up working for us. So SLV, we get a nice little move there. 60 cents on this name. Still slightly negative here, but not very much, 0.1%. But AAL, we're going to try to hold this once again, diamond hands, all the way down to the low of the day. 1390s would be the ideal target on AAL. So we'll pull it up for you guys so you can see how that trade's working. So far, it's been a pretty good session. Even though we're just small scalps and small sizes, all of our plans and our trades have been working. Richtech Robotics is going to be our smallest win, but we're starting to kind of cook up here in American Airlines in silver, Sharif.
All right, I think we have to go back to Adara.
More details there for that ASML. So yeah, this is actually, again, I mentioned this Carl Zeiss SMT. This is, I guess, a supplier here for ASML. Ming Chi Kuo saying that he believes that Carl Zeiss SMT expanding their capacity is going to lead to an increase here in ASML revenue. He's now lifted his revenue forecast for ASML to 38 billion to 40 billion euros in 2026. And then for 2027, he sees between 45 and 47 billion euros. So again, here, this Ming Chi Kuo supply chain note helping ASML at least temporarily. Back to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, guys, and this is what we have been talking about. There is 2 bottlenecks in the supply chain for the Chinese that's preventing them basically from making these more advanced chips. I'm talking about 5 nanometers and up. It is ASML's extreme ultraviolet lithography and Carl Zeiss's mirrors. And those 2 both are European names. One is Dutch, the other is German, and neither one's technologies immediately, you're not able to kind of replicate it. And so this is kind of the moat. And basically, let's just call a spade, guys. This is a monopoly until it's not. So there is a lot of headline risk on ASML. And I was talking about this earlier in the year. If we get, a headline out of China that they've made strides in developing this extreme ultraviolet lithography machine, ASML will drop hundreds of dollars in a day, in my opinion, okay? Whether or not that happens, but if you believe some of the rumors, the Chinese, basically led by Huawei, is developing this. They've already developed something. They can't make it in scale, so it's not commercially viable, but it's there. And so it's something to be on watch for. Now, this is one of my larger holdings, ASML, but this is something I'm acutely aware of. I'm not falling in love with the company. I'm in it to make money, right? So as soon as there is headline risk there, your boy's going to be trimming some. Joey options, what do you got on top there?
Same thing here, man. We're waiting to try to catch a fill on SF. Oh, okay, we got it. Nice. Right below the volume weighted average price at 98s there, roughly. And that was going to be our primary target. We're still holding on to more than 50% of this position, or it might be even 50% to be exact. I'm not even really looking. Yeah, now I can see my order. 50% to be exact. So we did hit target. Glad we held on to that. And same thing with AAL. We trim a little bit here. Nothing substantial. A 10%er on that one. So a good start so far this morning. A good start to the week, but we don't want to jinx things. We're going to knock on wood right there. And yeah, the hospital was calling me not too long ago. I got to get those sutures removed there, my brother. Finally, which would be nice, and start bending the knee to obviously not to anyone. There, yeah, we don't do that around here.
Get it, Joey.
Yeah, anyways, no, but in all seriousness, temp number one on AAL, we only take a little bit off here, 25%, and then we get stopped out 75%. Wait for the fake out, re-engage once again, because I was like, hey, listen, I made a mistake on Richtech by not re-engaging. That's not going to happen twice, right?
Okay.
So you don't learn from your mistakes unless you take action. So at the end of the day, even though it's just one trading session, we tried to improve from an intraday standpoint. We get involved once again. That's slowly starting to work out for us. And then same thing with SLV. We get involved with that bad boy, my guy, on that one. Yesterday was a pretty good session, NGL.
Attaboy.
So as the kids would say. So there we go, 88, 83.
I use that all the time, and I ain't no kid, my boy.
NGL, man.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to be typing too much if I don't have to, man.
Oh, you say that?
All the time, all the time, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, hey, man, it saves time, Joey,
Yeah.
right? There goes your boy Richtech. I gotta stop saying that, rich boy. It's not rich boy. All right, they're into the high of the day, 516s. What do we got on? We got 7, so we're not really that far in the money, but its trend is holding well. Let's see what this one has to offer. Fluffsters was asking me where my out is. I said, look, let's let the price action develop a little bit more. But since you asked, Fluffsters, now I feel like obliged to look at this a little bit deeper. So let's go ahead with the 4-hour time frame and see what the situation is. Okay, so this is the 4-hour right here. We're clearly ahead of critical areas of resistance, whether it was the 4th of December high or the 12th of December high, as well as the 22nd of January. Those were all areas that rejected at that 475, 482. We have cleared that decidedly, 518 high here. So where are we looking, man? We're looking at 5 2/3. That's a local area high going back into end of September into 575-ish territory. Above that, one has to look at the whole dollar, obviously, because that $6 area could be psychological resistance. And then you're looking, of course, at that 650 area. You know, whether we get up there on an intraday basis or whether this ends up being, you know, a multi-day trend, your guess is as good as mine. But one thing that we have broken are these lower highs here, because now we're putting in higher lows, and we've definitely taken out that 480, 475 local area top on RR. So I think, you know, first and foremost, Fluffsters, I'm going to be looking for that move into 5 2/3. I think that's quite ambitious, but that is the local area high from September, and it's really the one that stands out to me. So 570, 5 2/3 on Richtech Robotics. We'll see how this one ends up doing. There it goes again into the high of the day. It's showing 19s. It's time to wet the beak here. We're going to cancel that one at 21, and we're moving that up now to 25. How's the other one doing? How's RDW? Show yourself, RDW. Where are you at? All right, okay, we're doing it live. 97s, we're showing 10s, but very much still locked in within a bit of a range here. Now, we are getting higher lows on RDW, but you're not getting that explosive movement that we certainly saw at around 10 o'clock when the liquidity was a lot more ample, I should say. So 411, 410 right now on Richtech, but it's holding above the 10. It's above 14. It's putting in higher lows. So I'm going to pack my patience next Beak-Wetter in the high teens on this bad boy. How is Richtech doing? We're still showing 19, so nothing doing there. By the way, I said very little about this in the small cap summary to start, but HUYA is looking quietly good here. The only issue that I have with HUYA is the volume. I mean, yeah, okay, 7.5 million shares, that's not bad, but the chart doesn't look thickly traded. And there is price action volume divergence right now. Look at those, look at the bottom screen, bottom right corner of your screen, lower high, lower high, lower high in the volume bar, all the while that flat top break that we were talking about, 435, certainly manifested, 442 high now. So you're getting higher highs and higher lows on the price, but you're not seeing that in the volume, they're diverging. So we'll have to wait and see whether that means anything locally over here. RDW is continuing to trend up. Are we wetting the beak over here? Yeah, we are. Fantastic. Now we're going to put another beak wetter here into 27. And let's go ahead and set up in the high 30s as well. We'll go 37. Oops. That's not the one we want. Ooh. I put 1537, Joey. That's not what I want there. Okay, so we're going to go 27s. 24. What's going on over there?
Oh, we'll grab a little dollar ski.
A little dollar, huh?
Yeah.
You know what happens when you hit the dollar, right?
We hit the club as well, for sure. I haven't in a long time since the boy's been at the club, but a nice little move on SLV there, guys. It's too old. I feel out of place now when I go to those things. So, anyways, SLV.
That's
you gotta
crazy. Well, how do you think I feel?
Yeah. It's just weird, man. It's just weird. Anyways, aside from that, sorry to interrupt you. There it is. A nice little move to the downside. Luis Martinez. Hopefully, you're still involved with this on silver as it is continuing to bleed its own blood right there on SLV, guys. So a nice trade. And we took a little bit more off on AAL. We'll talk about that in a little bit. All right. Who's this guy? See, Cicero, actually one of my favorite.
Cristero, bro.
Yeah, Cristero. Sorry, I apologize about that. But Cicero, I don't know why I'm correlating the two. One of my, you like
You
Cicero?
sick, bro. Yes.
You like Cicero, one of my favorite Italian philosophers.
Love him, man.
Yeah, obviously.
I did poli-sci, so I'm all about that.
You're
right?
all about Cicero? Yeah, nice. That's what I told ChatGPT to call me, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah. All right. So I love your show. Thank you for everything. Dios los bendiga. Thank you very much for that, my friend. All right, let's take a little bit more. We love you guys, Israel Cristero. Very much appreciate it, brother. We're going to take a little bit more off here on AAL, brother.
Get it, Joey. All right, we're doing it live right now on RDW, guys. We got 97s. It's showing 47. So we'll do, we're not in the club right now. We're not in the club, but we're doing the dance. There it goes, Joey, in the 49. It's about to take out the $0.50. We are now 6 pennies off that high of the day. The 14.55 high was put in at 10.25. It didn't close that way, so we know we're going to get resistance at this 14.5. Whether or not we get a decent pullback here to get some more because we don't have that many shares left, we'll see. Or whether this one's going to squeeze above 14.5. But what lured me in was exactly what I articulated to you guys earlier. This one was hanging around the highs, but it was putting in an unbroken lower high trend. And so what I said was like, let it break above that trend line to show you I'm going to print that first 5-minute candle to make a new high, maybe even the second one, and then get in. So this is why we got into RDW. Looks fantastic, but it's got to clear that $0.50 now. Otherwise, I'm looking for a possible 4 1/4, maybe 4 1/3 retracement. I'd like 4 1/4 though because of that double top at 10.45 and 10.50. A local area of resistance comes back into there. Your boy's going to get a little bit more on that. Get it, Joey.
What the hell?
What's going on?
Yeah, we got a nice little move to the downside right there. 13.95 there on AAL, guys. We'll take a little bit more off. Once again, now we're sitting on approximately 45% of our position. A nice pop there in silver, but then seller stepping right back in. Look at the tape as well. Really weak streak. Boom, clean flush to the downside. Clean. Yeah. That's exactly what we want to see. So let's see if we can get a breakdown here in SLV. We're down 0.5% roughly, and then we're gonna head over to AAL and see what we got cooking up over here, guys, as it's continuously putting in some new lows. We are now testing that previous low range. Let's see if we can break that volume starting to pick up on the lower time frames. And bang, there it goes. We'll take some more off. Now sitting on 25% of our remaining position. Let's see if we can catch a fill, and we'll do it live for you guys in 3, 2, 1. No, we didn't do it live. Dang, that's all right,
pretty
man.
dang
it's
close.
pretty dang
man,
close.
Give him the print,
give it to us, man. Come
Give him
on.
the print,
Come,
man.
yeah, there it is. Let's party on that one. We'll hit the Sardis there, guys. $5. My boy Vizbot, what's going on? News.
Vizbot.
Meta shows major capex savings in upcoming earnings report due to savings. Vizbot from buying membership in Bet with Joe. Great news for fans of push-ups. Dude, you said it's gonna dump. I said it's gonna. I think it pumps.
I said it was gonna dump.
No, Vizbot.
Oh, Vizbot.
Yeah, Vizbot said that. So. Yeah, I don't know. I like what Zuck's doing. He's made a couple of mistakes, and I think he's corrected them relatively well, whether it be with the metaverse and then obviously with Reality Labs cutting spending and jobs.
And how about
in those segments?
In those segments. Yeah. And how about the headline today? Remember how we were always complaining, like, how is Meta going to monetize this $60 billion they're spending in CapEx? Paid tiers. I need to see if that's going to actually have the demand that they think it's going to have. Because let's just be honest about it. I'm invested in Meta, so I'm trying to be as objective as I can. Google is monetizing that CapEx spend. Google Cloud. And they're offering this Neo Cloud services to everybody who's using their services. Azure, Neo Cloud, immediately monetizing CapEx. Microsoft, AWS, for Amazon, immediately monetizing that. And they're all spending very similar amounts to Meta, right? 60, 70, 80 billion. Between the four different companies. It's somewhere in that range. The only one, though, that's not immediately seeing the profitability or the revenue, at least that top line number, is Meta. So I need to see that to kind of let me kind of rest easy a little bit to know that the revenue's coming in, Joe.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, guys. Here is a medical device companies need to keep an eye on. Enview Medical, ticker FEED. The company designs and markets a guided feeding tube platform to hospitals across the U.S. today. The majority of the hospitals do this procedure blindly, leading to unavoidable injuries from misplacements. Think of this platform as a GPS for feeding tube placement, which can improve patient safety and streamline how care teams work. What stands out to me is the growing appetite for this platform throughout U.S. hospitals and how their tech fits right into clinical needs. Today, they are already in 38 hospitals. As hospitals push for safer, more efficient solutions, Enview looks like a company building scalable technology with real-world demand behind it. Definitely one to watch. So it's funny, I was thinking a little bit earlier this morning, Shreve, just to go back to these meta talks a little bit. MySpace, like obviously we know what Facebook essentially did to MySpace back in the day.
It's crazy you're talking about MySpace.
I never had MySpace. Did you?
I had it, yeah.
You had MySpace?
Very briefly.
Now, aside from TikTok, but I don't think it just offers, it doesn't offer the same platform, right? Like you can't scroll through TikTok, right? Like right? Okay. It's more or less just Reels with TikTok being, right? You don't have a profile. People can't scan.
You can. There's two. There's following.
Okay, so I don't have it. So
I know.
You have to inform me.
I get that. So there's two. There's the For You page, the FYP, which is what the algorithm thinks that you might like, and then there's following. Okay. So you can switch. So I'll show you. We'll do a live. So you go into your favorite social media platform, TikTok, right? And then see you have For You up there. It's just scan to the left, and then that's everybody that you're following.
Okay.
And then look at that.
Everybody has a profile.
Everybody's got a profile.
Okay.
And then you have regional stuff, like you have Toronto, you have STEM. I don't know why they have STEM on there for whatever reason, but STEM seems to be an important one.
Anyways, what I was getting at there is, aside from TikTok in itself, I don't see anything down the pipeline that would remove Instagram's dominance in the social media space. So what I'm getting at here essentially is like from a digital ad revenue standpoint, we know people are making a boatload of money off of this platform. For the next 10 years or so, I don't see anything that's going to hinder that placement, aside from maybe TikTok stepping in. Obviously, we know with Oracle getting involved with it potentially as well, too. But I just don't think anything is going to surpass Instagram.
I completely agree with you. I think the digital ad sales, you're seeing that number grow every time.
Joey,
it's mid 80% gross margins. It's insanely profitable, right? Which is why they're $1 trillion and change company.
Exactly.
But I want to tell you one other thing. I have a boy who's very much in the digital ad game.
Yeah.
And he's like, Meta is the gold standard still.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
For a lot of these digital advertisers, right?
Yeah, absolutely agree. Like, I mean, in the past, I think 6 months or so, maybe even a little bit less, you started to see Snapchat start to pick up in the digital ads.
Yeah.
I'm not going to they're two totally different beasts. But I want to look at those numbers. How is that
Respect that.
digital ad revenue stepping up in Snapchat? And it can become a pretty solid player, right? Like, again, you're not going to compete with Meta whatsoever, but you can gain a little bit of market share, I think.
For sure, for sure. And they've been hanging around, and good to them. I mean, they're trying to diversify. We saw the move into AR.
And I like that you said that. Like, it's like, hey, it feels like that's all they've been doing is just kind of hanging around. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do for that next step?
That's the thing. Well, what's his name? Evan Spiegel's kind of shown us that he wants to get into that AR life. He wants to have those glasses and, you know, kind of be able to post.
Yeah,
but, you know, there's just so many players in that game. Do you have enough money to be able to take on Zuck? I just don't think Evan Spiegel or Apple.
Right? You don't.
Who knows,
it's
man?
that simple.
Who knows?
So.
All right, Joey, we're doing it live right now. Here comes, what's it called? Richtech into the quarter dollar. We've got sevens on. Good look right now for Richtech. RR up 37.5%. Let's see, Fluffsters, let's see if this makes it up to 5 3/4, 5 2/3. Your boy's game. I'm going to be in this. We're going to hold on to it. Let's see what it has to offer. RDW pulling back a little bit. To be expected, we talked about the fact that $0.50 seller. Jeez. Sorry, we're just getting an announcement here on the PA. We apologize for the interruption. Are we good? There we go. Let's see. All right. I think we're okay. If there is anything, Neil will tell me or Brenda will tell me, and then we'll have to leave. But RDW finding resistance here at 14.50. We can't shake the seller there. Down into the $0.0025 we go. Is it time for me to add though? See, that's the thing. We're getting two lower highs now, 2 lower highs in a row. The 10 EMA on the 5 on on RDW is 14.15. So I want to see if that's going to be the area that it finds support at, because I don't have too many shares left in RDW, and I want to get a little bit more for a possible break above that 14.5, especially if it continues to hang around above 14 and it doesn't lose 14, makes it more likely that it actually breaks that $14.5 level. If it is, I want to be involved. So we're going to keep an eye out on those. Separately, I want to mention BNAI. Now, BNAI is negative on the day, and not by a small amount. It is down 13.8%. It bled its own blood yesterday. Your boy Joey Opsh would usually say in the open, and then it found a lot of support later in the day. I want to say around 1 o'clock. This one got really aggressive, and from the low that we put in, I want to say at around 10 o'clock to the high that we got to around 340, it recovered 160%. Now, it's down below yesterday's close, which is around $62, 55 area double top. And moreover, I want to bring to your attention something that we didn't quite see all that much yesterday, which is the plethora of topping tail candles here, unbroken. Whether you're looking at the implied balance open right at 935, a whole bunch of topping tail candles. How about here? A whole bunch of topping tail candles. What does that mean? That means the shorts and or the profit takers or the bag holders, maybe in this case, are getting the hell out of there, or they're really aggressive getting in short positions, which is, you know, currently not overwhelming buyers, but it tells you of their presence and of their commitment. So you have to be careful with all these topping tail candles here on BNAI. Still down 14.3%, but a lot of you guys mentioned it in the chat. And hey, clean hold off the 10 EMA, and it rockets back, you know, $10 off that 10 EMA hold. So who can kind of complain about that? Going to keep an eye there on what's it called? BNAI. If it's warranted, we'll get involved. But there goes Richtech into another area high. Joey's pumped today because this is one of his picks. 529 area high.
It's not one of my direct picks. It's an honorable mention pick.
An honorable mention.
The ever so controversial one that I had.
Oh, was that the one? Was that the one? All right, all right.
So watch out, man. You guys know exactly what's going to happen. Neil called it. You guys call it because you're going to be like, hey, Joe, you know what's going to happen. It's going to pump. It's going to do all this. Of course,
who knows, bro?
I mentioned
Who knows? What if it does?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to bring one quick one to their attention too. XHLD, this one is up big on the day, 84.25%, but we were talking about this unbroken lower high trend. This one may be changing its tune, okay? And I want to get into it for the exact same reason that I got into RDW. It also changes its tune after a prolonged lower high trend. So XHLD, You know, it's not currently above that 245, 250 area. It'd rest a lot easier if it was, but this one may be changing trend. Moreover, it just reclaimed the volume weighted average price and a clean hold, mind you, even though this was below VWAP, a clean hold of the breakout level. Look at that implied balance high at 950 and 955. 210 to 220 area of resistance there. We drop all the way down, hold 160, rocket to 290, and here we are forming a base at that prior area of resistance. Again, 210 to 215. So a clean hold, albeit below the volume weighted average price, which leaves me out of the trade. But now that it's breaking trend and above the volume weighted average price, I'm certainly interested here in XHLD. Let's see what this one has to offer. Shout out to John Del Segno. Even though that hasn't been your name for a while, I recognize your picture, even though your name is not that at all anymore. Big Boy W just formed and is breaking out on LAC. I love how you worded that. Say less. We're going to look at it right now. We're talking about, of course, Lithium's America, very much in play lately.
Is that top VIP? Who asked you that?
No.
Okay.
John Del Segno, KUCZY.
Well, I just wanted to mention that top VIOP asked us to take a look at LAC as well, too. So, yeah, so here it is. Yeah, I was going to do it from, but no, now you got that. So, top. Make sure you're listening there, Mike.
All right, man. What do we got over here, Joey? Yeah, we certainly have some support here at 585 to 580. It hasn't done too much in the way of volume. Mind you, where is it at? 8 million shares today. Okay, so I don't know why it looks so sparsely traded. This is the 5-minute time frame. Let me go a little wider. Let's go to the 15. Okay, so I see resistance likely at 6 1/4. We're at 612 right now. Okay, so 612 also an important, 610 to 612 an important level here, going back to the 22nd as resistance, to the 23rd as support. So it has featured, and there you go. That kind of rounded top late into the day yesterday at 1245.1. That could be interesting as well. I'd like a move above 6 1/4, which would open up more room for us. But I see what you're saying, John, especially if you look at it on the 5-minute time frame. There's your double bottom into 590, 5 mid-80s. Not a bad look, not a bad look. LAC up 2% on the day. But you've got like MP up 6%. Where's USAR up to today? USAR is down 4 1/4, but USAR had a monster day yesterday. So in case you're wondering why, the U.S. government took a stake in that. There goes BNAI, guys. It is taking out levels. So those topping teal candles, well, they're not stopping the longs now. $57 high, and this one was just down 14 and change, down 8.5 now. And to go green on the day, it's got to reclaim 62. So we're only about $5 away from that. But this thing moves dollars at a time. So we could quickly be break even or green on the day. BNAI, one to watch. We're going to keep an eye out on that. There it goes back into 57. BNAI is strong, guys. It's breaking away from the 10 EMA, which is at $51. 51, and the price action is showing me 57. So good strength there. So the two trades that we're involved in right now are Richtech Robotics, which we have no beak wetters for. So let's go ahead and wait at 534. We're going to wait around there. And then we're going to add now into RDW. I like what I see here. So we're going ahead and adding ahead of that $14 break. So that fundamentally changes my cost basis from 1407 down to 1432. We're going to do it live. We're going to look to wet the beak here, and then let's go a little bit above 50 as well. We're going to go to 58, and then let's go ahead and do some more here in the 60s. And if you know we're in the 60s, where we'll be waiting. So let's see whether RDW can take out that resistance level at 14.5, Joey.
Good stuff there, guys. All right, man. We caught that fill there on American Airlines. We're now down almost 5% here on the intraday session. So a nice little move. You see the average price, and it's continuing to sell off a little bit here. We breached that previous pivot low and continuing to the southeast. Same thing here with SLV. That's really starting to work nice for us, guys. Let's pull that up as we take some more off at 97.60s. Luis Martinez, are you still involved? And nice little bounce. There's multiple signals across the board that I thought were going to hold up, and then maybe you'd see some continuation to the downside. But I have my conviction within this trade now. This isn't something that you see every day, and it's few and far between, in my opinion. So let's head over to silver and see what we got going on. And this is what I'm going to compare it to, whether you like it or not. I can't really say anything other than that. Boom, look at this, right? Like, this is the largest volume print, and we talked about this on multiple occasions. I mean, we can head over to IBIT and BTC, and I remember we were talking with Brian Shannon about this, and then sure enough, momentarily after that, you do get a nice little pop up in Bitcoin. We're still holding that zone, but look at these volume prints. Look at the indecision prints as well, too. And you can base trades off of that. So for the next little bit, I'm going to be thinking a little bit of a short until we break this high. Then this signal is valid, in my opinion. And now let's go over another example, and that's going to be over in advanced micro devices. And we're going to have to go back multiple years here in the daily, but it's the exact same thing. Guys, you remember I was talking about this, right? Like, we were talking about it yesterday, just saying, hey, keep an eye out on something like this. The volume is there. It's not the largest of the prints, but it was just such an exuberant day that sure enough, it ended abruptly. And then sure enough, you get, boom, a flush, and then you go into about a 1.5 year downtrend. So keep an eye on these isolated volume prints. So it's just really important, and that's what I'm going to stick with. I'm going to stick with my guns here on SLV. This is double the amount of size, like throughout the whole year. You can't. It's not comparable to any volume print throughout the whole year. But anyways, guys, we're going off to Adair with happening now, and then Neil with his lesson of the day. We got AAL printing a new LOD, and then we also are starting to slide a little bit more in SLV, guys.
So much has happened today, guys, in the market. Lots of pre-market catalysts and lots of mostly earnings call-related updates throughout the day. So a lot to summarize here in one quick segment, but we will do our best. Let's talk here about this market. Really nice push up here for the S&P 500 right now, running to some resistance at 696.50s on that 15-minute chart. Let's see if we're able to continue to push higher, because we've generally had some higher highs and higher lows throughout the day for the market and for the SPY. With regards to strength in this market, I think one name I do want to mention before we get into some of this more earnings-related action is GLW. Now, GLW obviously pulling back a little bit from this highs, but Corning very strong after Meta struck an up to $6 billion deal for some cables, fiber optic cables from Corning for Meta's data center. So nice look there for GLW. GLW and Meta both report earnings tomorrow. Corning before the bell and then Meta after the bell. Let's talk here about HUM. This is not an earnings play, though. Another name in the sector, UNH, did report earnings and is at intraday lows, but Humana, CVS, Centene, and MOH are some health insurers trading lower alongside UNH as the Trump administration proposes lower than expected Medicare insurer rates. This is not shocking because U.S. President Trump has made it very clear that he is not a fan of how health insurers take money from American consumers' pockets, in his opinion. So interesting look there. Now, last but not least, we've mentioned UNH earnings. We had a lot of other earnings today. Boeing was one of them. We had GM, we discussed, UNP, RTX, NUE after the close yesterday, NOC, AAL, JBLU. But let's talk here about UPS, a name I do not know if we've discussed much so far. They did report earnings. It was a double beat. Forward guidance here better than expected. The revenue did decline year over year, but revenue per piece up on a year over year basis. So here's the very stylish CEO of UPS, Carol Tomei. You can catch this infographic and many, many others specifically related to earnings on X at TTV Research. But you know what you can catch right now? And you won't have to go anywhere to catch it? It's Neil. And it's his lesson of the day. So Neil, it's lesson time.
Lesson time? I thought it was lunchtime. I was getting ready to eat. I got like whatever this like French chicken thing that was supposed to peppercorn chicken, was ready to lock loaded there. This would be a simple lesson of the day because I want to talk about our plan of action and how you can be patient to wait for what might be a... Oh, of course. I don't know if I got to the mute button fast enough there. Apologies. No, but how you can stick to your plan of action and what it looks like to actually be patient with it. Because a lot of times, like, I'll have an idea in the notes, and then you'll see maybe none of those setups even take place. Like, Intel doesn't get to 45. That was something we're looking for. Apple didn't really get into any of the dip buys I wanted. Like, there's Apple looking for the long, but didn't get anywhere near the support levels. Intel doesn't get anywhere near the resistance. GameStop was able to play the dips into the 23, but it never broke out 25. Then there was silver. We'll play for mean reversions on the 15-minute chart and also look for 99 to 100 for an over-under, just sort of meaning that's a level I'm looking for support or resistance off of mean reversions. Now, the thing about looking for something off the 15-minute, what are the chances that you can have that at 9:30? Well, to me, 0. Because ultimately, I'm not going to get a mean reversion on that kind of a time frame right away, unless you put a lot of gravity towards the pre-market levels. So this didn't really even have a trend. Like, this is a pre-market trend line in there, and there was nothing really to revert on the 15. Now, you could make an argument that down here, this could have been a mean reversion long, but have a look at how this eventually lined up. I like the over-under 99 to 100. You would have heard me say in the morning, okay, well, if after the open we can break out above 100, that would give a setup to the long, because it would have broken this trend and gotten over 100. Well, that didn't happen, so no trade. The other way to look at it is, okay, well, it's still holding this trend line down. Now it takes all this time. This is now past 10 o'clock. I'm waiting for it to come in and test the trend line. It tests the trend line from the pre, rejects it. When do I get in? Here, when it's testing it? No. Set up on the 15-minute. Confirms on the next 15-minute candle. Oh, but look at what price it's at. What was that over under? 99 to 100. Where is it resisting? 99. Where's that top? Underneath 100. So now I'm short. I'm short on this trend line. And it gives me, it's already given like 50, 60 cents once, and now we reloaded it on the trend line, and then it gives that move again, looking for the low of the day. We talk about patience and what a setup is. To me, this is what it's about when you set up a trade. It's that you have an entire thought and plan of action that, look, I'll short form it because we're doing a live show, and I can explain it a little bit deeper to you, but mean inversion on the 15, there's no mean inversion on the 15 setting up until 11:30 for me. But then eventually it does happen. So you put in the trade. And that's, like, it's crazy. I didn't know that it was going to happen at 11. It could have easily broken this trend line up here and been a long over 100 instead. But that's the level of patience required to actually have a trade and not just like willy-nilly, I'm going to do this because I just feel like it's going up or down. So ultimately, everyone has to come up with their own trade plan. But I've been waiting for an opportunity where there was like a trade setup that I could sit there that never happened on the morning show. But then eventually what came almost exactly to plan, whether it works or not, later on in the day. And I actually had to wait the entirety of the session till after we weren't even on air with you guys for that trade to set up. But you still take it anyways. That's what patience is. That's what trading your plan is. And looks like we have a headline here. I'm going to go Gemini 3 now default model for AI overviews globally. I don't know if that's actually moving Alphabet. Well, Alphabet's going down like everything else, so probably not. Not looking all that good for Alphabet. But I hope everyone gets the sense of if you have a plan of action or you have a trade set up, and like I said, on the 15-minute chart, I'm looking for something in particular because I had noticed, like, look at this trend break on the 15 yesterday when I wasn't here. So that's the kind of thing I want to wait for. Well, if that's what you say you're waiting for and you get that one shot to hit it, you hit it. But if it never happens, then maybe I don't trade silver all day. I've seen it so many times where, like, you have 4 or 5 ideas or stocks that you're watching, and your setup doesn't happen, yet you're trading them all over the place. Well, that doesn't really make much sense. You know, like, it's not just that you want to trade the stock, it's that you have something that you're looking to see, and then you have something that you want to do when you see it. And if those two things don't meet up, then so be it. Not the end of the world. You live on to fight another day. Thankfully, silver gave this setup. Don't love the fact that it's holding 97 now, because I think that's a bit of a support zone. I might get it all out at 97 if I see too strong a bid there and look for some continuation. But yeah, great look on silver. It just took a lot of patience, but that's what having a plan is all about. It's about waiting for the setup. So hopefully you guys are patient with your trading. I'll let you guys know how the green peppercorn goes, although it doesn't look any green to me. It just looks like, no, I don't understand why it's green peppercorn. First of all, that just needs to be said because it ain't no greens, it's not a green sauce, and they're not green peppercorns. So like there's nothing about this that was what was on the menu when we read it at lunch, but it looks tasty, so we'll probably enjoy it. Good luck, everybody.
I love it. I'm going to eat it anyway, as long as it... Did you eat the chicken yesterday?
I did.
Boy, that was spicy.
Stop.
I thought it was spicy.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought
I'm not really a spice guy.
But you're
though.
spice people, though, no?
No, Egyptians?
Yeah,
not really.
No. Yeah, okay, all right.
Not really, no.
All right.
Not too much spice in our no.
No?
Not at all.
Okay, all right. My dad's, he's pescatarian, so I don't think.
Is he?
Yeah, he does.
I could live as a pescatarian easy. Give me all the
well,
seafood in the
I was
world.
going to say it's for as long as I can remember, but yeah, he's never ate chicken or beef or anything like that.
I see. No, he's like, it'd be easy because there's a lot of tilapia here.
Yeah, I don't think he eats that stuff either, though, to be honest with you. Just salt fish and salmon. Salmon is the way to go. All right, man. You like salt? Yeah, saltfish. You like saltfish and some snapper and stuff like that. Neil, you know what's going on with the red snapper. All right, guys, let's see what we got cooking up here today. I mean, it's been a pretty good one. I mentioned that before. And there goes silver. Silver away to the downside. Luis Martinez. Hopefully, you're still involved in that one. We're in right at 98.88. Boom. We didn't get quite to the $2 club, but pretty close, guys. And we're starting to get somewhat of a rebound right now, but I think the selling pressure is most definitely kicked in. We just caught another fill on AAL, Sharif, so I should have been posted up at 97s. I don't have much left, only 20%, so I'm just going to let this ride. I'm going to ride this rod wave right here. Shout out to... Thanks, Dare. I appreciate that. So yeah, I was hoping someone picked up on the Rod Wave one, but Dare did. Obviously, the lyrical genius that well, obviously she likes music. But here it is, guys. AAL, a nice move. You're down now 5 1/3%. Not too bad of a look. Attempt number 2. I told you that we weren't gonna miss out on the opportunity. We did on Richtech Robotics, but now we're starting to slowly cook up here in American Airlines as it's now down 5 1/3, as I mentioned not too long ago. 20% on SLV. What am I gonna hold this for? You know, yeah, let's do this, man. Let's do it. We're gonna do it live stream. We're gonna hold it for 94s. I think we can get $94 today. Actually, maybe not. We'll go 96s. That's when we're gonna take our next target out. There is at 96 on SLV. We'll take a small bit out on AAL if it does put in a new LOD.
I like it, man. I'm back into XHLD right now after having gotten stopped out. Let's go ahead and post some beak wetters in the 50s over here. Look, I like the way that XHLD is trading. I think my stop placement was incorrect. So I'm getting back in and we're gonna see what we can do with this one. Let me just switch my chart up here. Here we go. Are we okay, we got a beak wetter, but we're not blowing through that $0.5 level. It seems to be a staunchy area of resistance, and there it goes into 55s. But we posted at 55, but it didn't cross, so we didn't get the print. But look at the tape now. Look at the book moving. This means that we could be on a breakout right now when it starts getting crazy like this. And it really, the tape teleportation, so to speak, into 55 again. No print because not crossing. There it goes, Joey. XHLD looking real good. Can it continue now? It's a 290 high on XHLD, next profit taker, mid-60s. Let's go ahead and set up a little bit higher as well. See if we can kind of get that continuation on XHLD or what the situation is going to be. I also weaseled into BNAI. I'm very, very small size here because of the price. And obviously the risk profile is down 14% on the day, but it held 52 clean. I was trying to punch in at 52s. I had to chase it. So let's see if we can kind of show up here at 53.50. In fact, that's where I'm posting, but the spread is prohibitively wide. It's about 50 pennies at the moment, but it's a clean hold on that 10 EMA. Let's see if it can work up into the high of the day, 57.45. Going to be keeping a close eye on that. Look at XHLD go. Joey, breakout now. It took out all my orders. Even the one in the 70s. Let's go ahead and now post in the 80s. Good breakout right now. Again, the only reason I'm in this is the decided break of the downtrend and a reclaiming of the volume weighted average price. I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. Just keeping my eye here on Richtech. Richtech, I'm in 3 trades, so I have to manage all of them now, right now. Richtech is dropping back into that 10 EMA on the 5. I'm in at 7s. I'm going to give this to 10s, and that gives me enough room below the 10 EMA so that if we're stop hunting, I don't think that I'll get clipped here. So we're going to go ahead and put that in now, because it's coming down pretty dang quick over here. So let's go ahead and throw that in, and we'll see what happens there. How's BNAI doing? Any prints on that monster?
Sorry, let me,
yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah,
go
let me interrupt you for a second. Gorev, this is extremely important, especially in the world of trading. Look at this on the 1 minute time frame, Gorev. Hammer print, massive volume signature right here. Something might be going on with Tesla as we've seen a little bit of volume step into the lower time frames, guys. I'm going to hop in maybe some TSLL. I got to figure out what our risk profile is going to be first and foremost, and then we're going to look to get involved. I just wanted to point that out, Tree. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Joey. It's fine. I'm just continuing to watch BNAI. There it goes. Let's see if we can get the Beak-Wet over here. We already got a Beak-Wetter, excuse me. 53.84. We've got 53s on right now, but it's not immediately taking out some of these levels. Let's pack the patience. 85s now showing up. Where am I waiting? I'm waiting at 54.10. So it has to clear 54 there for me to get the print. Let's see how many shares we got on BNAI. We're going to wet the beak there super quick. No, because of the spread, we're not getting printed. And that's kind of like part and parcel of trading these ones. So yeah, manage your risk accordingly, guys. All right, keeping an eye here on Richtech. Didn't get stopped out of that, which is good. So it held the level. Good news there. All right, back to BNAI. Sorry, I got to manage all these trades. Looking for continuation here on BNAI through 54. It's down 13.5%, but it's been trending up. Now, what's my out? My out is a loss of 52. It's really that simple for me, but I'm not seeing the strength that we saw on that initial ascent on BNAI, which does concern me a little bit because the shorts could smell that out, sniff that out, I mean, and then, you know, punch this one down, and I don't want to be on the receiving end of that. All right, here it is. 54 showing up, 53.92, I should say, but it's going to have to cross 54 decidedly because I'm posted at 54.10, I believe, and the spread is really wide. So let's continue to watch what BNAI is doing over here. Fluffy. She's always chirping, bro. I love it, because I made a mistake about like sniff this one out, like smell this one out, right? Yeah. And she's not going to let me live that one down.
They don't.
All right, there it is. It's fine. 53.90 still showing up here on BNAI, looking for continuation, but I see Richtech is dropping. It's about to stop me out because it's now below the 10 EMA on the 5. So we're going to keep an eye out on that. Joey, what do you got?
All right, good stuff, man. Just keeping an eye out here on Tesla 1 minute time frame to see if we can get a retest of that volume print and that candle. Other than that, guys, we're still sitting in the same positions, 20% left on SLV and about the same, maybe even less. I think about 10% maybe here on AAL. So we're just rocking and rolling and riding this trend to see if we can catch any lower lows in both of these names. Now, as for Tesla, I was just running through the scan. Oh, this is what I also was hitting the bang for. Shout out to my my good friend CrowdStrike.
Having a day today.
Yeah, it's having a big time day today with a massive gap up. I would love to know where my entry price is on this thing for our bets, but a nice move all the way up to 486 here in CrowdStrike, holding up this trend relatively well. We're still down a couple percentage points. I think it was 14% at one point. Okay, yeah, so we're down 15% off of that previous pivot high, but I think we're going to be off to the races here in CRWV. Now, let's take a look at Walmart as well. We'll just talk our own book here, essentially. Oh, not too good. Yeah, I got in so bad on Walmart. How you going to do me like that? And then also JP Morgan and Chase not performing relatively well either, guys. We're still off of that previous pivot high. Hopefully the support level, I mean, it's only 11% or so, but there's going to be a key level around 292.53. If that breaks, then watch out. You might see some more downside in JPM. And also we'll take a look at the banking sector. That's going to be the XLF. And I apologize, we haven't done this in quite some time, so we may as well do it right now. And that is going to be the top performing sectors of the day. We know Derek goes over that stuff there, but we're going to take a look at some things from a percentage metric and see what we got cooking up on that front, all right? And see how the overall markets are performing this week as well. So at the top of the list, we have the tech sector up 1.5%, guys. Utilities sitting in second place, 0.9%, and the industrials a third of a percent. Now, energy is in fourth, guys. The bottom three are going to be the financials, healthcare, and the comms. So keep an eye out on that. But now, as for weekly, what do we got? And all positive. Man, all the major averages here, guys, performing relatively well, except for the Dow Jones, even still positive, 0.86%. We got the IWM 1.3% and SPY 2.3%. But the Nasdaq, Sharif, it's either feast or famine with the Nasdaq here. 3.78% on the week, so some big-time moves being led by the likes of AAPL and most definitely Goggles as well, too, guys. So a lot going on in mega cap land, helping drive the Nasdaq higher, and Meta as well, too. So here's the market cap, guys. We have NVDA at 4.5 trillion, which is insane. Google sitting in that second place. Apple under that $4 trillion mark. Boo-hoo, right? Microsoft, essentially, Amazon, TSM climbing the ranks, and then we have Meta and Broadcom still holding on to the T club there, my friend.
All right, just watching BNAI. It doesn't look great. It rejected 54, which is technically a lower high, back down into 52.50. I did see a big buyer at 52. But I don't know how long that buyer is going to be there, and we're going to get another look over here at that 52 buyer as this one drops down now on the bid into 10, still showing 50 on the ask. Let's see how this one does. I've put in my stop, so whatever happens, happens over here. We're not gonna get too upset about it, but we're gonna keep an eye here on XHLD because that's one still trading near the highs. We're still holding some here on XHLD. Next Beak-Wetter, we're looking for 82. Here comes 69 again. 70 prior bar high, by the way, is 74. There is 74. I think we just flashed 75s there momentarily. Is that? No, we flashed 74. So that 74 seller still keeping a damper on everybody's party over here. Let's see what this one has to offer. Can we take out that prior bar high? We weren't. We were able to match it. So no, nothing doing there now. Now, this could be an add into 50, by the way, because that was the breakout level. Look at that candle at 11.55 on XHLD. If it comes into that level, I think I may be adding there. But I want to keep an eye here on BNAI. There's that 52 buyer. But it feels like it's going to give way any moment now. Look at that. There's really no, there it is. Yeah, so we're going to have to stop out there. So we'll give back on BNAI. Kind of sucks, but hey, yeah, that's kind of trading there. We'll give back some on BNAI. If it sets up a bit better, we'll get back involved with that one. But for now, it is not tradable for me. Do I have BNAI on 2 screens? I do, my bad. Let's take that off. Let's put in, you okay?
Yeah, oh, sorry, I did. Yeah, I was just moving my leg. I'm like, because I have a little stool under here, and I unfortunately can't.
It's painful, eh?
Yeah, I can't lift it on my own yet, and I did a little bit. So yeah, my bad.
It's okay, as long as you're okay, brother.
Yeah.
All right, so keeping an eye here, I'm gonna put HUYA up there because that one is trading at the high. Why isn't it showing up? Is it HUYA on? Is it the NQ? I thought it was is on the NYSE. There it is. Yeah, it's on the NYSE. Okay. HUYA continues to trend up, guys, into 463. I think it's showing 61 now. Not the biggest volume winner on the day, but definitely strong and directional. So that's something to look at there. Richtech Robotics, bottoming tail candle. First 5-minute candle, the new high. We're getting back into Richtech over here. Let's go. Oh, man, as soon as I was about to punch in, it pops up like 4 pennies. So that sucks. But good move here on Richtech. I like the candle. That breach at 10 EMA ends up being a bottoming tail candle. And then this candle, currently, the 1220 candle, ends up clearing it. Let's see if that's a fake out breakout or a bull trap. We'll see, and we'll kind of report back to you guys on that one. But for now, we got to go to Joey.
All right, guys. PDS Biotechnology, Nasdaq, PDSB, is transforming how the immune system targets and fights cancer with initial focus on HPV-16 positive head and neck cancer. HPV-16 can cause head and neck cancer, and more people are facing these high-risk cancers than ever before. HPV-16 positive head and neck cancers are projected to become the most common type of head and neck cancer in the U.S. in a few years. Learn more at www.pdsbbiotech.com, everyone. Oh, you have anything else there, Sharif? Because we got a little bit going on here. Now, AAL down 5.7% and continuing to slide a little bit more here, guys. We'll take some off maybe at 1370s, but not too bad of a look so far on AAL to the downside. And same thing with SLV. Sticking in these two names, right? Like we're positioned relatively well, and we're going to look to hold on on for them until we actually run out of shares. So just holding it for the all-day trend. If you want to look at it from a higher time frame, you can see a little bit better here on AAL on the 5-minute time frame. These wicks are kind of what distorts the overall picture here, but you get the gist of things. A nice little move. Attempt number 2 was that opportunity, and we're glad that we had the ability to take advantage of that. Now going back to our other trade here, and that is going to be silver. Now silver has been working really, really well. I think the sellers are fully engaged. I talk about this for quite some time now. Well, I mean, since yesterday. Where does my mouse go? Dude, there it is. Like, it's just running away on me. All right, so there it is.
Because of the screens on the back. Don't forget those bad boys.
Is
right?
it? Yeah, is that where it goes?
Yeah, because you got 5 monitors now technically. One of them is just a mirror, and then one is an actual monitor. So that's where it's going.
So if I'm going over here, it's gone.
Rob didn't, because you were not here, he was showing OB.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, maybe
so
we'll get
I'll
Rob.
show that to you. So
yeah,
yeah, these monitors, you technically have a 5th now.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't
so
know
when I
which
go this
one.
way, it goes. Yeah, it goes
I'm
into
not
it.
sure which one.
So yeah, maybe we'll get Rob over here and we'll talk a little bit of Air Canada Rouge as well too, and just remind him that it's a budget airline, so you can't expect too much on that one. So no, obviously we love Robbie over here. SLV guys, still moving to the downside, 96.80s. We're gonna wait for that 96 mark, considering we only have 20% left of this remaining position. I do have a little bit of a hunch that AAL is gonna get a sustained bounce here, so I'm prepared to take a little bit more. Once again, only 10% remaining on that one. A lot of people in the chat were talking about Bitcoin, so let's pull that up. They're like, this dump on Bitcoin needs to be studied. It's weak. So I want to take a look at this for myself. What did I just type in?
Get it, Joey.
Okay, there we go. Oh, yeah, what a fall from grace. That's unfortunate. A big-time move. I mean, you climb higher throughout the whole intraday session. I mean, it was only
Joey,
90 cents. Go ahead.
VTIX is open, and it is, I told you, bro, this was going to be insane.
Hop in now.
No, man, it's at $64. We were looking at the top at 30, man.
Wow.
I don't know why the paired volume.
Open.
It's been open. It opened up
Look at all the
at
old stuff.
11:52. Yeah, well, this is fantastic, dude. I mean, 67.50. It's up 226%. This is the IPO we were telling you guys about, man. It hasn't done much in the way of volume at all. It's done 7,000 shares. So, yeah, you got to trade this one carefully, man, if at all.
That's crazy, man.
But that is a big move, guys. VTIX, sorry, it's not an IPO. It is a DL, a direct listing. So, I mean, if that influences your trade plan at all. It is halted now at 64.90. Halt time 12:24:30. Tap 67.63. So already slated to go up a little bit higher. Trade it carefully, guys. What a move, though.
Oh, what a
for
fill.
VTIX. By the way, I'm back into BNAI because it took out that prior area high. I'm going to have to give this a lot of room. Because it is trading quite spready, but I did like the recovery. I wasn't going to buy it off 51, so I got 54.23, which is kind of like the worst price that I could get because I gave it a bit of a range. So let's go ahead and set up at this level, and then we're going to go just like that, and then we're going to go up into that level as well. Let's see kind of what we get there on BNAI, but there goes Richtech Robotics into the high of the day at 5:30, and we did get the add into this one. Shout out to Richtech. We're going to wet the beak there. Oh, didn't give it to me. There we go. Okay, there we go. Now cancel that one above, and we're going to go into the high 30s, and then we're going to go into the mid 40s for the next print after that. So let's see what Richtech has to offer us here. Also, did I add into XHLD? I did. I got that 50 dip. So that's adjusted my cost basis from 44 now to 50 to 47. Let's wet the beak here and let's set up some in the mid 60s, and then we're going to go into the high 60s, of course. True to form, we're looking for a hold of that general of the prior bar. The prior bar low is 246. So let's go ahead, place the stop price over here, and that'll give me a little bit of room. There we go. So we'll throw in that stop there. So keeping my eye on that. And so we're in 3 trades right now. BNAI we're out of the money on, but let's see how this one ends up resolving. It did take out that area high, I want to say, at 12:10. That was the candle high there was 53.85. drops down into 51, reclaims the 10, moving average on the 5, breaches that 12-10 candle, but no continuation through 54, excuse me. So I'm going to pack my patience. My out is going to be basically that area low over here at around $50. So we're going to have to give this one room, otherwise we're just going to get stopped out. Joey, what do you got?
All right, good stuff, man. A nice bounce here in SLV. So we're just we're just chilling right now, guys. Can you take a look at Joby chart? Absolutely. So there's SLV. I don't want to keep going over the same names. It's been a solid one so far. We got a big time nice fill on American Airlines as well. But just before that bounce, and I'm talking about, hey guys, watch out. In case that trend line breaks, the channel is still to the downside, but that volume kind of stepping in and that engulfing print was alarming, and I got a nice bottom tick off of that. So a nice little move on AAL. Let's head over to, was it Archer or Joby? Joby, you want to take a look at? Yeah, there's Joby. We can take a look at it from a daily perspective as well too. We'll head over to the options chain and see what we got going on that front. Now let's head over to the higher time frames. That's a weekly. Wow, I'm glad that that worked relatively quick. But you can see, ooh, the weekly shows a much better picture. Be cautious of this, right? Like you have this wedge starting to form. You're going to want to see this downtrend break before the support level breaks, in my opinion. You can get in a liquidity grab, and then maybe you get that move back to the top side, but watch out for this zone to snap. And if it does, where's that next target? $9 roughly there on JOB. Now let's head over to the options chain on Joby and see what we got going on. And there it is, so it's not very liquid, right? Like, but you can see an increase in the implied volatility. Double digits, right? That's not much here. Triple digits over here from an February 6th expiration cycle. Same thing from an open interest standpoint. Not too much cooking up. But let's take a look at Bitcoin. What's going on with Bitcoin's options chain? Because the derivatives within this play such a major factor. And where did we slam off of? That's going to be my question. It's like 50 something. And then this is where, like, as you can see, we head into those 50s, and that's where the supply zones really start to kick up. 26,000, 33,000, 38,000, 28,000, 31,000, 20,000, and so on throughout this expiration cycle and all the way to the top side. And if those continuously roll over, then watch out. It's going to be the same narrative here with NVDA. How did we react around 190? That's a genuine question because I haven't really looked at it myself throughout the intraday session. So let's go on because I am swinging. I don't want to monitor and micromanage and everything. Where was our high? It's still 190. Oh, what told us that 190 was a supply zone? The derivatives market, Sharif, 100,000 open contracts. We've been over this time and time again, and sure enough, there it is. We have had the inability to breach those zones. But now we have some big names reporting after the bell tomorrow. Let's take a look at their expected moves. I'm going to pull those up for you momentarily. I'm going to send it back to Sharif, and then we're going to go over those big boys and the options chain on them.
All right, man, we're taking profits here on Richtech. Another high of the day into 534. Good continuation on this one. And then XHLD taking profits. They're looking for a breach of prior bar low. We didn't get it with a 1225 candle relative to the 1220 candle. We may get it with this candle though. So prior bar now, prior bar low is 250 on the dot. We're showing 55s. Let's see though if we can take out prior bar high, because we can't. We haven't been. We've been basically rejecting prior bar high since the 1215 candle. That's about 15 minutes. So I've put in my stop for this one, but let's see how it resolves. Oops. Sorry about that. Give me a sec. And then also BNAI, we took a beak wetter into 54.90, but down into 54 again it goes. It's clearing 54 on a wick basis, but no closing print. That means, to me anyway, that the shorts are really targeting that $54 area as, you know, and either a profit-taking area for the longs or the shorts are looking to set up there. So let's see how this one ends up resolving. It does wick above 4. Quite aggressively, but no continuation. No continuation, so that does concern me. It does concern me here, so we're going to keep an eye out on that. By the way, RDW is starting to change trend a little bit. So this one had been bleeding its own blood into 14, losing the 10 EMA, losing the 20 EMA, but finding support at the whole dollar level, and now you're kind of getting that rounding effect with higher lows. Not necessarily higher highs, though, on every candle, but you are getting higher lows. A break, I think, of 1420 would probably confirm that the trend maybe recovering back to the high side And certainly, you know, you should probably put your stop below this area low, that 1215 candle, the low of which is 1394, because you know buyers were stepping in there. So going to keep my eye out on RDW for another entry. But XHLD, I think this one is just continuing to bleed down into 50s, and it did breach prior bar low, but it's not below the 10 EMA quite yet. There it goes. So we're going to stop out there, and we'll give back a little bit. But that one will still be profitable, but we'll have given back a little bit on that one. So we're in 2 trades now, BNAI and Richtech. Richtech a lot better. BNAI giving me issues over here. It's holding higher lows, but not necessarily higher highs. And there we go. I just got stopped out of that again, as it did lose 52 bucks. A bit of a problem there, Joey. What do you got?
Good stuff. All right, man. Let's take a look at some of those expected moves in which we were talking about not too long ago. So we're going to start things off and kick it off with Microsoft, all right? So 68.1%. That's relatively high if you ask me on MSFT, but sure enough, let's pull it in. So what we got going on here with Microsoft is approximately a 4.7% expected move, with the high of around $502 and a low of around $457, all right? So once again, we'll head over to the expiration cycle. That's going to be this Friday. You're going to see an increase as you go further down the chain. You're going to see a decrease in the IV. Now, where's that next zone? Where was our high on this one? 502. What is the 500s telling us? Bang. That's where a lot of the concentration is currently sitting. I mean, if we go to relatively speaking, watch out for a potential ceiling on this zone. If it blows past that, then that's when you're going to get into squeeze territory. We're going to send it off to Sharif, and then we're going to get right back into some META expected moves.
All right, guys. What do we got over here? Sorry? I don't see. Oh, there we got it. All right, guys. As traders, whether you trade U.S. stocks, options, or futures, at some point, each of us has felt blindsided. Suddenly, a stock you're trading moves sharply and you're left guessing why. Well, it's not your fault. Often, large funds have quietly built huge positions in the options market well before the name you're trading reacts. To gain an edge, though, in today's market, Spot Gamma's daily flow patrol reports reveal where big money is positioned, so you can identify stocks building momentum ahead of major price moves. To get 2 free weeks of Spot Gamma Flow Patrol, scan the QR code on the screen and go behind the curtain to see what professionals see. Shout out to them, Joey.
All right, good stuff, guys. Let's head right into Meta and see what we got going on from an expected move, and then we're obviously going to get right into the options chain and see if we can correlate the top end or the lower end of that expected move with some high levels of open interest. Now, we're going to be looking at approximately a 6.1% move here with a high of 708. We like that a lot, and a low of around 627. We don't like that whatsoever. All right, so you're going to see an increase in the implied volatility. Right now, we're currently sitting in around 91.7%. Now we want to compare it with 700. What is 700 telling us? Once again, the options chain living up to its consistency with 13,800 contracts at that specific zone. Relatively speaking, that is going to be the largest amount that we are experiencing right now, and that is going to be expiring this Friday. Keep an eye out on what we got going on here. If we run into 700 here on META, that's going to be a nice move if you ask me, right? 670 bucks, that's 30 points. We will take that all day, every day. Now, moving on, we're going to take a look at Tesla and see what we have on that front. Expecting a little bit more volatility, but that doesn't seem to be the case right now with a 5.6% expected move and a high of around 458. That's going to put us right past the little resistance zone in that 450 area. 410 is going to be that low, 74.9% IV, but let's see what the chain is telling us once again. 460, we're going to call it flat on Tesla and see what we have going on. Are we going to be able to determine where the concentration of supply is?
What happened?
And there it is at 460, 16,700, and that is once again going to be the largest amount of open interest on this week's expiration. You can see at that 440 zone, 21,600 contracts have been open and closed today with 11,400 still currently open. Keep an eye out on that. And then also at 435, roughly around where we're trading at right now, 20,300, but not very much open interest. So those contracts are continuously being open and closed. We'll do one more before we send it back to my brother. And that is going to be International Business machines, IBM. Yes, let's take a look at what we got going on in IBM. We'll pull it up on the chain here as well, just so we can take a look and gauge what we got going on, guys. Make sure you correlate your supply zones and everything with the expected move. This expected move, 5.8%. You guessed it, $310 as a high and then $276 as a potential low. Now, what are we going to be looking to correlate at? $310. Is this going to be the largest amount? No, but 307 halves. Not the most liquid options, contracts, obviously, but nonetheless, still working pretty good for us. We're not going to complain about it whatsoever. Super chat.
Super chat.
We got 2 super chats. RDW should see after hours surge expecting 30.
Whoa, I like that.
Thank you
that
for
sentiment.
Thank you for that super chat there, my friend. Very much appreciated. Ilias. So now we got another one. Vizbot. News, orthopedic surgeon recommends removing Joe's sutures so he can bend the knee to Vizbot after Meta earnings. Love you, Joe.
Wow.
That's crazy. That is crazy. That is one of the craziest ones.
Though.
Very much so. You know what, dude? At 12:40 today, approximately 3 minutes from now, I was supposed to get the sutures removed, but that doesn't seem to be the case, so maybe we can...
Hold on, what do you mean? Supposed to get them removed today?
Yeah.
So why didn't you go?
Well, I'm here, man.
I know, but you got to get them removed.
Yeah, they'll get removed. I could do it myself too.
You can actually, or aren't they?
Probably not, but you know what? There's
aren't there ones that dissolve?
There is ones that dissolve, but there's a couple that I can take out myself. But some of the other ones, man, there's like a lot of clear wires sticking out. Bro, so I don't want to mess around with that.
Talk right
so
there.
yeah, we'll give them a phone call to see if they're still available. But yeah, we're gonna get that done here momentarily because those sutures need to get out. But Vizbot, that's crazy talk. Guys, hey, everyone in the chat, remember that Vizbot says that Meta is going to tank, and I think it's going to go the opposite direction. Assassino, let's get a poll up here, brother. Do we think that Meta is going to climb higher or lower on their earnings report? Let's see what the chat thinks. Other than that, Vizbot, you're going to be in a world of trouble if I am right, my friend.
I like this competition. Yeah. All right, let me just throw in a stop here, Joey Opsh. There we go. Oh, we got to give it a lot more room than that. So there we go. There.
That's crazy.
All right, good.
116.
All right, just throw in my profit takers. Just give me a second. I'm throwing out all my profit takers there. Let's go and go just like that. Let's see if we can get into that level. Sorry, guys. Focusing over here. All right, RR, I punched out of that one. It looked like it was going to lose a 10 EMA, and it seems to be finding support at 30, even though the high of the day is 34. So I don't know what to think about this one, punching back into the highs. I think it gave me an opportunity to add into 20s. I took the opposite route, and I got out, stopped out. So I'm going to let that one cook for a little bit, but I want to get back into RDW because for exactly the reason I was articulating before, I feel like this one's found a bit of a bottom at around 14. So we'll get in here. Where are we at? 15s? Okay, perfect. Let's set up some profit takers in the 20s, and then we'll go into the low 30s as well. So RDW, I feel like this one's curling off 14, could take out 14 and a quarter. And, you know, if all goes right, we'll see possibly that $0.50 come into play again. So RDW back involved in that one. And Richtech, I've got to keep an eye out on this one, right back into 30s, but it's having trouble at 30s. And that's kind of been my observation about Richtech for the last little while, whether it was the topping tail candles that we got, you know, prior to noon at 11:50, 11:55, again at 12:05. Even though it's been up to 534, it doesn't really show a lot of strength in and around that level. So gonna let that one cook for a little bit. What do we got over here? Parabolic, VTIX, man, don't tell me that, man. Oh, God, Joey, look at this. No. It's done 20,000 shares, though, but it's rocketing, man. It's showing a tap of 85. It's halted 83.05. Halt time, 12:36.18, so the earliest this will be open is 12:41.18. Trade it carefully, though, man. You don't know how these ones are going to act. They'll flip the script on you quick as you like, so be careful with these ones, guys. They tend to break your heart. So we'll keep an eye on both of those. What time is it? It's 20 after? Yeah, we still have a lot of time. before we can do the new segment. All right, BNAI is breaking out. What do we have on this one? 51.16. It's showing me 52.69. So let's continue up here. 3 beak wetters finally getting some profit here on BNAI after getting stopped out to no end. I definitely don't want to take out too much too quickly, so let's go ahead and wait at 54. Let's go 54.55. It's showing me 53.30 now, so the strength is on BNAI. Can we get the next beak wetter? The next beak wetter is 53.33. It's showing me 53.27. Need a little bit more room over here and some more buying to push this bad boy up. Looking for that next profit taker over here on BNAI, but it's broken my heart multiple times today, and every time I give this one room, it makes me pay for giving it room. But there's a seller here at 17, moving down into 16. This could be kind of the luring of the longs, and I don't want to be part of that. So I'm going to continue to watch here pretty closely on BNAI. Yeah, the ask is dropping as opposed to ascending. So this is what it's done on prior occasions when it's lost the bid. And so I'm feeling maybe I should flatten out over here, but I'm a little too stubborn for that. That's the problem. All right, there we go. Continuing to watch 52.89. Yeah, it's dropping here. 52.68 on the bid. Now it's 8.78 on the ask. 10 penny spread, but we'll give this one a little bit of room. Just watching back up to 53 we go. No bid stepping in though, so you're not seeing the ask ascend here, and you're certainly not seeing it come back into that 30 penny level where I was waiting and where it was rejecting. So continuing to watch BNAI, looking for a move back up. We're $1 and change in the money, but we're negative on it. Full disclosure, trying to make back the money I lost on this bad boy. I like this setup, but I see the lower highs as well, and I think maybe that's what I put on the long goggles there, because if, I wait for those lower highs to break. So here's the deal. We're going to take out the majority of the position here, and we're going to save a piece for the dream. So there we go. We de-risked a little bit there, and then we're going to really let this one go. If it clears, I want to say that prior bar at 12.25, the high of which is 54.50, I'll get back into the position for a move possibly into 54.75. So let's go ahead with that. 54.50 was the level that I just called out? Yeah, 54.50. So let's go ahead and place a breakout trade. I'm going to go 54.69, and then we're going to give this a little bit of room possibly into, let's just go into the 90s for a breakout trade there. So we'll throw that in there, and we'll see what happens with that one. How's my RWD trade doing after we got back in? Where's it at? Show yourself. Okay, we're nicely in the money here. Nice. Okay, in at 15, show me 26s. I already wet the beak there. No continuation, though, into the 30s. So pack the patience. Hopefully not a false breakout on that. But I'm looking for a move back into 1450, man. I mean, this one could be a flat top break, right? Higher lows, multiple rejections so far into 1450, whether it was earlier on, I want to say at around 1025, or basically between 1140 and 1205. So we know for a fact there's a seller at 14.5. Whether or not we can weasel up there for a flat top break, your guess is as good as mine, but we've got what we need to see here, which is our higher lows and a flat top. That's an ascending wedge pattern, a pattern that I like. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Will Meta pop or drop on earnings? I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to pop.
Yeah, I went with pop.
You're going with pop,
yeah,
and you're going against Vizbot. You're going against Vizbot, right? His bias is that it drops. Well, Meta's down 0.75% today into 667. So not too bad of a look. How's everything else doing in the world of microchips there? Let's take a quick look. Oh my
Don't forget on their last report as well too. They took a hefty hit.
Meta?
Oh, yeah. But remember, because they paid that one-time tax fee to Mr. Trump,
which I'm good with.
Yeah,
yeah, because one-off items are not really a worry.
It's one-off, right? It's priced in. It's priced in.
Good call on that. I forgot about that.
So I mean, hey man, we're just gonna try to put our money where our mouth is.
Where's this VTIX thing? I don't even want to look at it. It's gonna give me all sorts of FOMO. Down. Good. Well, maybe not good. I don't want to make anybody feel bad. Maybe they're into this. $95.16 high, Joey. The tap was showing us 30. It's down now. Halt down. 77.61 halt time. 12:42.46 earliest. This will be open. Is 12:47.46. Add 5 always, guys. And keep your eye out on that one. But very, very volatile, clearly, and a wide spread. What's the spread showing me, right? Not bad. Joey, $7. 70.02 on the bid, 77.61 on the ask. So seems safe. I'm saying that facetiously, of course, guys. Make sure you're using sound risk management skills. Joey, what do you got?
I thought Neil's walking. More food, my boy. He's got the slice coming.
What has he got
now.
there,
He got
man?
the slice too. That's crazy.
I guess you didn't like the food then, huh? Yeah, he couldn't deal with the food. He couldn't deal with the food.
Okay.
That's all you need to know right there. Neil walked in with food from outside. That is all you need to know.
All you need to know there.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not good. He said it looked good. So yeah, there it is, guys, on SLV 9620. So there it is. Nice little move there, down 1.8% on SLV. Luis Martinez, hopefully you're still holding on to this position as well too, my brother, because this has been working out relatively well throughout the day, and we're just holding on for targets. So now sitting on approximately 5% of that. Yeah, Neil got the Pizza Nova. I don't know if you guys in the States have Pizza Nova.
I don't think so.
No, but I think that's the best pizza chain.
Oh,
pizza
you do,
chain. Yeah, best pizza chain
crazy.
in I think maybe Canada or in Ontario. Pizza is hot garbage. Domino's is not that good. Panago, I don't think it's good either. Anyways, aside from that, guys, a nice little move, just dumping on them all. Jesus.
All of them.
Yeah. So there it is.
What's that one that it's something Pie and Co.
Pico. Pico's
like
all right.
those?
Yeah, but it's margarita pizza.
Margarita pizza?
Yeah. It's not
I went
bad.
there with my boy. I mean, it seems like it's a bit more specialty pizza.
Yeah. It's a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I just get the basic margarita, right? Like you get a little cheese and stuff and some basil on that on that joint. So there it is. Yeah, on SLV, 2% down to the downside, working really nice for us. 96.33, so $2.50 approximately in that. In the money on this name. I was talking about the bounce on AAL, and that's sure enough what happened here, guys. So we'll take a look at AAL, what was going on. I'm glad that we got that last little bit out. The trend line has broken to the downside. Now maybe you get a bounce back and towards some key resistance zones that were acting as prior support. So it's been a pretty good day. You see the positions up there, so we're not going to complain. I still have my eyes on Tesla just in case it does want to hold up on this zone. But if it breaks 433, then that candle is invalid, which is looking like momentarily if it's going to be. So.
All right, I'm just entering some profit takers over here. Give me 1 sec. Setting up some beak wetters on this monster. Let's go ahead and wait a little bit higher too, man. I want to go into almost 54.95. There we go. Let's see how this one does. Breaking power bar high. So let's see if we can get that continuation here. It comes into 60. Are we going to get the print? There it is, into 54. Sorry, Assassino, 1 second. We've been having trouble with this 54, and I have a breakout trade. Dang it, on 54. I don't know if I want to add here. How do I get out of the breakout trade? Show yourself, breakout trade. I can't find it at the moment. Joey, take over.
All right, right on. So let's see what we got going on here. Savvy Canadian traders looking to boost their exposure can now tap into the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3X daily leverage ETFs featuring built-in FX hedging. This aims to amplify short-term market moves, minimizing the impact of currency swings. Whether you're feeling bullish or bearish, these ETFs are built for active day traders ready to take on the market. Read the full risk disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing. There it is. All right. So yeah, $900 so far, piecing out at the low. Oh, nice, Lewis. Bang. We'll hit this one for you. We'll hit the money, my friend. As you are continuously cooking up in SLV. That's a nice short. I think we might crack the low of the day by EOD by the end of the day. That is correct. Dr. Shuttle says he's eating grilled cheese over there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a grilled cheese, brother. I'm not going to complain about that whatsoever. AEL, not too bad. Let's head over back to our watch list and see if there's anything that's kind of keeping our eye. And if we want to know if Tesla is going to be holding up those volume prints we were talking about. I don't love where it's currently sitting right now, so you can see that it's starting to form somewhat of a shelf. And if it does break, it seems that the sellers are more engaged than any form of buying. Strong opening drive to the downside, so lots of selling participants. And then when we start to get that pullback and that rebound, we don't get quite to that pre-market support level, and it acted as resistance, and then we rejected that zone. So we got to keep an eye out on it. It may not be the signal. There is still some slight selling pressure within this, right? So that we didn't get that complete close as a hammer candle. Now we'll run through a couple more names here and see what we got going on. Maybe Street will find something that's popping. What's Pesky up to? That was selling today. People talking about Netflix at $84. Oh, that's a nice 5-minute print right there, Gorev. All right, there it is. At some key levels, maybe you get somewhat of a sustained bounce here in NFLX. What has strategy been up to? Yeah, taken behind the shed on that one there, Sharif. Just like Bitcoin has been Reddit, what has it been doing? Nothing too much. CrowdStrike. We know we like CrowdStrike. There's Bitcoin, guys, a big time selling pressure in IBIT.
All right, guys. Yeah, I took a scalp trade on BNAI, trying to parse some of these losses that I made on it earlier, but it's now kind of 1, 2, 3 higher lows in a row. So it's the $54 area that is a troublesome area. We can't seem to print and hold anything above 54. That's causing trouble for me, especially with the spread on this one. But I do like how we're breaking that down trend line. But what I want to see, and I saw it too in New York Cents basically say finally it paid off, and I couldn't agree anymore, especially if you're picking it up off that 51. We had a couple of dip trades on that 51, but I'm looking now for a decided closing print above 54. Those have been very, very few and far between. The only one that actually closed green, the candle closed green above 54, was the candle at 11:55. The candle at 12 and the candle at 12:05 were above 54, but they all closed red. So that's not exactly a glowing endorsement for long above 54. So that's what I'm going to wait for. I like what I'm seeing now locally in the last 15 minutes. Higher low, higher low, higher low, but definitely unable to close decidedly above 54. That's what I'm going to keep my eye on there. And I'm going to be looking for a little bit more on this one, maybe back into 57, maybe even higher. So BNAI going to continue to feature for me here. XHLD pulling back into the volume weighted average price right at 240, holds up clean, but it's suffering from the same affliction it suffered from earlier, which is an unbroken trend of lower highs. This is my point. Look at this. Clean break. We got in on that VWAP reclaim after the break of the downtrend line, rocketed up to 275. We participated in that. But we're suffering from that same downtrend again. So let's see if it can kind of get above this lower high, lower high, lower high kind of look. Maybe 255, 260 for a move back into 290, maybe even more, man. Maybe even 3. It's respecting the volume weighted average price. It held up clean basically for 3 candles in a row above VWAP, which to me says there are buyers and, you know, pretty convicted buyers at around that level. But I'm not going to try to guess whether or not it's going to hold or break that downtrend lines. Let's wait for this one to kind of show its hand, and then we'll get in a little bit more on that. So XHLD in focus. RDW, again, got stopped out for the remaining amount. Still positive on that, though. Looking for a move, man, above this 14.25. It's showing me now 2 lower highs in a row ever since that inverse hammer topping tail candle at 1240. Kind of put us offside a little bit. Let me minimize that because it gets convoluted without it. So look at that lower high. If we can get above 14.25 on a decided basis, that would break the lower high trend, and I could get involved in that one again. So, oh, there goes XHLD. We were talking about this one, a decided move above that prior or that downtrend line here. So let's see if we can weasel in to XHLD, and it's going to be a real simple out, man. Below the volume weighted average price, we're out. Simple as that. Let's go ahead and set up some profit takers. Now, will I defend this into VWAP? I don't think I'm going to defend it into VWAP because that's about 235. We'll get in maybe some in the mid 40s, but if it doesn't hold up there, we're going to be gonzino. So going to keep an eye here on XHLD. Hopefully it's not a false breakout, and we'll be able to do some more damage on this one. TX Jetfan VTIX reversion. Let's have a look. This is the direct listing today. Yeah, it's bleeding its own blood right now quite aggressively. It looks like it's a 95.16 high. It is halted down again at 59.40 halt time, 12:53.17 earliest. It'll be open 12:58.17 the tap. Ew, what? Showing 22, that's going to adjust. 23, it was just at 50 something. Guys, it's halted at $60 and it's showing the top of 23. Oh no, that's a no good. We'll report to you guys on that one once it is open. But there's XHLD taking out the prints. Let's go XHLD. 63. 64, I'm waiting at 65 and 69. So let's see if we can get continuation over here and break this lower high area. Mind you, I have to remind you guys, I should say, of the prior area high, not prior bar high. That would take us to the 1210, 1215 candles, the high of which is 275. So we have to clear that 275. We're going to be looking at that 290 because we're still suffering from that lower high, lower high, lower high trend. Outlaw Trader, XHLD. I'm in it right now, baby. I see it. I see it. I'm just looking for continuation, brother, above 275 because that's prior area high. So we know the shorts at least overwhelmed sellers at that particular price level. Let's see if we're able to take them out or what the situation is. Fluffy, Sharif, Joe, do you guys get competitive on the trading floor? Just curious. I personally don't really care what anybody else is doing. I know that, not everybody feels that way around here, but it's just kind of my cup of tea. Joey?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it's pretty obvious that I'm a hella competitive individual. It doesn't matter what it is. I like to compete. It's just fun in games. But I think healthy competition is really what you want to aim for, right? Like, regardless of what it is, even if it has no real money or anything along those lines, or just with anything, it's just, I think it's part of my nature. So yeah, I want to win, obviously, with the 3 picks. It doesn't matter if there's no prize at the end of the day. I want to be first place. So yeah, I'm a competitive individual. I think I've always been, and I will remain that way. And yeah, I think I'm going to teach. I was going to say with some kids.
How much money I have.
I care about. That's all I care about at the end of the day. Right? That's all that matters.
How much I'm saving, which I'm investing.
I never said there is no competition ever. I think healthy. Being healthy competitive is key, right? Like if you're on a team or anything along those lines, you just want to continuously push each individual to that next level. And if that involves being competitive, then so be it.
So be it. Yeah. So be it. Fair enough. All right. It is almost 1 o'clock. Sia's in the house. I see on the screen there. Let me just see. Hey, she's got the curls on today. Okay. All right, Sia. See you there, girl. Let's see what we got in terms of, we're going to start the new segment soon, guys. Just allow us a little bit of time here to resolve some of these trades. I don't even know where there they go. Okay. All right, sorry, just allow me to set up. There goes XHLD, though. While I'm setting up, I was very pleased to find out XHLD's at 74, guys. They're 78, so we took out prior area high. Let's go ahead now and set up at 82s. Let's see if we can get it. Why would I take profits at 75 when we know we clipped the seller there? There it goes into 82s, Joseph options, but an aggressive sell into that area. Let's go ahead now. Post at 94. Now, this will be, I believe, a high day break. 90 is the day high. So where do we get up to on current bar? 86. We are below the day high at 90, but we are above prior area high at 74. So 75, pardon me. So let's see if we can kind of continue into there. How many shares do we have so we can kind of organize ourselves? 290 high, current bar high, 86, looking for continuation. Back into the 80s we go. Can we see the strength into 82 Assassino, into 83? No continuation, though, into the high 80s, so we're going to have to pack the patience there. Sorry, Fabian, I didn't hear you, brother. All right, Sarah, we got to go to Adara at the big desk.
We're here with TSLA. Figure, I guess a robotics company here, they just announced about 8 minutes ago here on X that they've introduced Helix 02. That is their most powerful model to date, and apparently it's actually fully autonomous. This is a robot, right? So I'm seeing some speculation here on social media. This could potentially be competition for TSLA. Again, a fully autonomous robot called Helix 02 being introduced by Figure, which again, Figure here potentially competing with TSLA. Back to you.
Can always tell when Fabian's on the ones and twos because Assassino, he's not going to get too, exploratory with the camera angles, but that's not how Fabian feels. Fabian lives dangerously, baby.
Fabian's a dangerous man.
He's a dangerous man in a good way. But yeah, we have a lot of new cameras, guys. Look at this. Look what he's doing. I mean, he's just constantly playing around.
I like that side. I like the side angle. There's always a good
100%.
side.
We never really bunch of cameras, man.
Fabian, hit me up on this one, man. We don't really ever go to this one anymore. You see which one I'm pointing at? Yeah. Baby, it's going on. You know what I mean?
Hey,
we don't
get it, Joey.
We don't get the side angle as much as we used to.
Bovin, where you been, man? You just get back from work? Yeah, I see GITS, Bovin, but it's below VWAP, brother. It's got to weasel its way above 5. We'll get involved with that. But here comes XHLD again, into 90. Current bar high. Did we get into 90? 88s now. We took previous high of 86 out. We got into 88s. We're still south of that 90 level as the shorts. They're still pretty convicted in their trade. We can't seem to clear that 90 penny level, so we'll pack the patience. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wet the beak here just to de-risk, and we'll let this one go. So I'm going to keep an eye here very closely on that. Guessed it right, brother. Yeah, I knew it. I know when you come in, Bovin, when you come in late, I know you're coming in from work, but that's how convicted you are, brother. Shout out to you, my man. The guy puts in a shift, he comes back in, and then there's another shift, Joey.
That's the market shift.
That's the market shift. Shout out to the OG Bovin.
Right.
Always calling out great trades. Keep your eye out on his levels. What?
Scott Tomlinson.
Scott, what did he say? I where is it at? I can't
His
see
beak is wet as hell.
Yeah, well, here we go. There you got the animation,
There
my
you
boy.
go. You hit that one.
There you go.
I haven't hit this one today.
Let's see it. You know what one you haven't hit in a minute?
What's that?
Come on, man.
Storm.
Bro. No, man, I got the Storm. Which one do you have that I don't have?
I had this one.
There it is, my man. Obi didn't hit that once while you
That's
were
crazy,
gone,
man.
right?
That's blasphemy.
I don't think you knew you have it.
You hit the money storm as well.
There you
today,
go. The
too.
money
We
storm's
haven't-
a good one,
It was
bro.
a good one. We haven't hit that one in a while.
All right, Sia, you ready to go? All right, we're gonna start the new segment.
do
when
it.
Sia's ready.
Oh, let's do it. All right.
Okay, we're going to start with Meta today, guys. Meta Platforms is testing new AI subscriptions across apps like WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook. The subscriptions are designed to unlock more productivity and creativity, is what is being said, and they're doing this through expanded AI-driven features. The paid tiers will also include access to Meta's general AI agents under the Manus platform, which was recently acquired in December for $2 billion. And Meta's AI-powered short-form video tool Vibes may also become a key subscription feature. Basic Vibes functionality would remain free, while advanced creator tools, just like Instagram and other social media platforms, will be under subscription. What do you have to say about this, guys?
Well, I personally really like it. And now we kind of have a very clear understanding of why they acquired Manus for the price that they did, which obviously came with a lot of headwinds because the Chinese regulator now is looking at the sale of that. So that could be a bit of a problem, but for the moment, they've got them, they own them, and their runway here is to actually monetize agentic AI. A little late to the party, Mark, but hey, better late than never. What I do like about this, though, is it gives us at least, some revenue that we can hang our hat on and say, okay, that $63 or $65 billion in CapEx that they spent in 2025, at least we're going to see some monetization runway. And we haven't been seeing that. I know I said this earlier, but I need to really stress this point. Google, Amazon, Microsoft are all monetizing their AI spend because they have cloud services that they're offering these AI products on. So they're offering it at higher margins too. All the neo cloud stuff is way higher priced than the regular cloud services that they're offering. So we know that they're monetizing it. So I like this in terms of a runway for revenue. I realize that, Meta's broken a lot of hearts lately, and, you guys are absolutely accurate in your feelings there, but I just don't want to count Zuck out. Now, I haven't even talked about, the form factor, the new form factor that he's taking on glasses and stuff like that. That could be accretive in a different way, but I need to see a little bit more on that. I know, that some people were complaining about the quality of the product. Let's just put it that way. A lot of people are comparing it to Apple's build design, and I don't think many people meet that kind of standard. But this, to me, Joey, is a story about monetizing the AI CapEx. They're spending a ton of money, and we need to see some money coming in.
Absolutely, and I think you hit that nail on the head there, Sri. I can hear myself, that's a little bit annoying. But no, what this is going to generate for Meta here is just another revenue stream. How successful it's going to be, that's yet to be determined, but I'm going to give Mark Zuckerberg some credit. Even though before in the metaverse and with Reality Labs, one thing that he does recognize, and I think he has the ability to shift his strategy relatively well, is that if the street and investors aren't liking it, he starts to slowly scrap it.
100% agree with you.
He starts to slowly scrap it, and we started to see that within the cuts in Reality Labs as well too. So I think that's going to add a lot. We're going to see some increase in margins, and this is also another potential massive revenue stream here with Meta, especially with the paid tier platform. Now, as from a technical standpoint, we have this. This was the previous earnings report right here, Shreve. You have that massive gap down leading into this, especially if that guide regarding specifically this is increased. I think that we can see a nice pop here in META.
All right, hopefully, we'll see. Earnings are soon. Adira, Meta.
Yeah, I want to talk here about this Manus element, but then I want to talk about another story with Meta that I think was certainly more market moving and I don't think got a ton of attention or love today. I want to start here though with this Meta paid AI subscription. So again, this came out at like 3:30 p.m. I didn't even realize yesterday. I didn't even realize till I saw it this morning. Not a huge market reaction here with this TechCrunch report. Though I do want to mention, I think like the reliance on the Manus, or not reliance, but I guess involvement here, integration of the Manus platform. That could cause Meta some trouble because we know China, every day we see China deepening its probe into Manus and Meta deepening that investigation. So I think if there is an issue where we kind of have that acquisition of Manus questioned, this could maybe hurt this aspect of Meta's business, though I'm sure he'll get over it, or Mark Zuckerberg rather, as Joe said. He has proven that he's been pretty adaptable, though I think maybe one blind spot of his has been the metaverse, because he's been really, really dying on that hill. But all that aside, he has been pretty able to adapt. Now, I want to mention, though, the Meta story that I think is a lot more interesting and B, far more market moving, and that is Corning. GLW. This was a massive move today, all day, popped basically right off the open. We make highs here around 114. We're still trading relatively close to highs. Now, GLW moved on a Meta catalyst, which is the only reason I'm bringing it up today, and I don't believe it's on this note, but I think we should be discussing it. So GLW announcing the CEO, Wendell Weeks, doing an interview with CNBC where he says, hey, we're having a deal with Meta. Meta gonna spend up to $6 billion on our fiber optic cables for their data centers. Now, we actually had a press release also supporting that here with GLW and META. Obviously, this story is more market moving for GLW than it is for Meta, but I do think it supports that Meta is working on these data center strategies and is trying to get these rolling out. So I think it's a really good look for both companies. Furthermore, with regards to GLW, we know they have that tie-up as well with Apple and their expansion in the US. So GLW in bed with 2 of the 7 Meg 7s. Let's see if they can keep stacking up. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens here further, but interesting look there. I did want to mention it because I do think that is by far the more market-moving story for Meta here. Back to you.
Airlines is getting paid $1 billion frickin' dollars? Oh, come on, man. Bruh. Come on, man. $1 billion?
Yeah, dude.
For this?
Yeah, bro. Man, I don't know, man. That's insane.
Christ.
It's insane.
What?
And yeah. Have you seen
$975 million he's being paid.
I'm seeing that. I've seen that, man.
Oh, come on, dude.
Like that can make you puke, eh?
I'm gonna puke right now, man. Out of jealousy.
Yeah,
like, that's what it is.
I already know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask you this anyways. Have you been watching the Beast games?
No.
Okay. Well,
I'm not a Mr. Beast fan. I don't dislike him.
You don't like Jimmy?
I don't dislike him. I don't.
You don't like Jimmy?
Is his name Jimmy? I didn't even know that. All right. Let's go to the next story. See ya.
Microsoft expands data center footprint in Wisconsin, and local officials in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, have approved Microsoft plans to build 15 additional data centers. Now, a couple key important things here. The development is split across 2 large parcels, and the community response apparently skewed positive instead of negative, and more residents are backing the plan than opposing it. And I believe that there are a couple reasons for this, one of them being that local officials have confirmed that it will not be exceeding the expected 8.4 million gallons of annual water supply. And Microsoft can also now proceed with final civil engineering plans and building permits due to this reasons. The 2 project phases are nearly 9 million square feet of building space and supported by 3 new substations. The developments will also carry a taxable value exceeding $13 billion. Big number, guys. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I like it in the sense, number one, that they've got the community support. We've seen many different projects that, there was a lot of community pushback. So nice to see that that's actually, gaining the support of the community. The other part is we're going to have to see a lot more build out in the energy infrastructure to support this, because as President Trump and many people have been saying, I don't think that the cost of increased electricity should be borne by, regular people. It really should be borne by these hyperscalers and these big, multinational, multi-billion-dollar companies. So that's what I like. But I do like, that they are split across 2 parcels. What's it called over here? I had something to say about this. Yeah, again, one of the biggest bottlenecks for data center growth remains power availability. The community opposition has halted elsewhere. That was in Caledonia, but this Mount Pleasant one is a cooperative jurisdiction, which is an interesting thing here. So more capex, Joey, with respect to data center, but I want to see more about what power stations are going to be powering this. I don't think we were given kind of enough information there from this article.
I know there's a lot of talk going on right now about getting these massive data centers off grid and on their own grid. I forget the. Okay, Caterpillar. Okay, that's why Caterpillar can be extremely successful within this, because they can create their. I know the Caterpillar, but they can create their own grid. That's something extremely positive for them, and that's why we're going to see this uptick, right? Like we talk about the data center build out and all the kind of electronic and technological stuff, but then you get into the nitty gritty and the picks and the shovels essentially, and that's what I'm leaning towards with Caterpillar. But why I really find that it's going to find the community support as well too. One reason, JOBS, jobs.
There you go.
Right? And that's what it's going to do. It's going to help funnel more money into the community, and especially if it's a smaller one and you want to start to see it expand, it's not a horrible thing to see these hyperscalers start to step into into these smaller communities.
And I liked how they're going to keep the water supply under the projected amount, 8.4 million gallons annually of water supply. It'd be nice to see the water supply really drop off here. And one of the things that they've been talking about, again, Elon Musk, never shy to make big predictions, but he wants to put some of these data centers in space, where he's like, you're going to have unlimited amount of solar energy, cooling will be easy. And he wants to, his launch cadence for SpaceX, he wants to increase it markedly, dramatically. So, putting these data centers up there in scale actually is feasible in some respects. So,
but I think a big part of it has to do with the jobs, though, right? Like if you're going to be building, right?
There's not going to be anybody in space, Joey.
No, there's not going to be. There's not going to be people living up there just yet, anyway. Not in our lifetime, I don't think.
What do we got next, Sia?
Next up, we have Alphabet, and Alphabet will be paying $68 million to settle Google Assistant privacy lawsuit. Big deal here. Alphabet has agreed to pay that amount of money to settle a class action lawsuit alleging that Google Assistant illegally recorded and shared certain private conversations. And this was settled, the settlement was tentatively filed in the San Jose federal court, and it still requires approval from U.S. district judge. But this case covers users who purchased Google devices and experienced so-called false accepts since May 18, 2016. And the plaintiffs basically claim that Google Assistant activated unintentionally, capturing private conversations without consent. The lawsuit also alleged that this data was then used to support targeted advertising, raising certain privacy concerns. But Google denied any wrongdoing after this and chose to settle to avoid the risk, cost, and uncertainty of litigation. But a couple of financial things here. That of the $68 million settlement, plaintiffs' lawyers may seek up to $22.7 million in legal fees. And for Alphabet, the payout is immaterial to earnings, but it reinforces the ongoing headline and regulatory risk around certain user data. What do you have to say about this, Sharif and Joe?
Well, lawyers taking a third of the fees is criminal. Like, that's crazy. 33%. I know you're working on contingency, but that's crazy. Second of all, Apple paid a very similar fine back in, I think, 24. They paid about $95 million. But Joey, your phones are not listening.
No.
This is what this lawsuit is entirely about. The phone is listening.
It absolutely
Are we just like schmucks thinking that, this thing is not listening to us?
We know that it is.
They're unreal.
We know that it's listening. I don't know how, but you know what's funny about this, Sharif? I thought when we first started this this piece right here that it was going to have a big EU on the front of it because another fine from the European Union on a mega cap tech. But no, it's interesting. Obviously, the phone. From a privacy standpoint, guys, you're not going to beat around the bush with some of this stuff. Make sure you read the full disclaimers, especially when you're hopping in on all your apps and everything. And then remember how with certain things it says ask Siri or ask Apple not to track. Make sure you hit that. Make sure you hit that.
And I want to say something else. So the plaintiffs are claiming that the Google Assistant that's in question here was activated unintentionally. And I want to say that Google didn't deny that. Okay, they didn't accept responsibility, but they didn't deny that it was unintentionally activating. So what does that mean? That means, our phone could, realistically be listing because we activated it unintentionally. So that to me is crazy. That there has to be some sort of control on that by the tech company, whether it's Apple or Google, because that's what they're saying there. And they're saying these accidental activations are known internally as false accepts. I guess because when they send out a signal there or a prompt for you to activate it, it's thinking that you activated it, but it didn't. So this is really interesting. Especially since they have a name for it internally, means that there's probably a lot more to the story than meets the eye. But anyway, I'm not part of this settlement to get $68 million. Maybe we should throw our hat into that. Have you ever owned an Android device?
Never.
You never. So then you can't get into that.
I've had the iPhone since as long as I think mine was the keyboard. I think that was a Nokia, right?
The Nokia,
right. With the Sia would have no idea about that thing. It was literally you just slide up.
The kick.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, right? It was just slide up and then it had that keyboard, the physical keyboard as well too.
Nokia.
And then after that, it was the iPhone 4.
Is that called the kick? I'm pretty sure it was a Nokia kick. Let me find out. No, that ain't it.
No, that
ain't it.
I have an idea about iPhones. I think I.
No, he wasn't talking about iPhones. He was talking about like this old Nokia, super old.
Of course, I know about it.
All right. I wasn't said it. You look over there.
I owned a really old Nokia for a while.
Okay.
Without any.
Joey, why are you assuming, bro?
All right, sorry, I
See, when you assume, it leads to assumptions.
It makes
Hey, you gotta know, grandparents are strict earlier, so they have to like.
So they give you
that's it.
So they gave you the outdated technology just to make sure.
All right. Sia, what do we got next?
Next up, we have Micron here. Micron has committed to a $24 billion to expand Singapore NAND capacity. Micron has committed to expand water manufacturing operations in Singapore, and the investment is going to add 700,000 square feet of new clean room space at an existing NAND manufacturing complex. This will mark one of Micron's largest single-site commitments and will reinforce Singapore as a core hub in the global footprint. Also, another thing is that demand for NAND has surged due to AI, cloud, and data-centric applications. And Micron is simultaneously building a $7 billion advanced packaging plant in Singapore focused on high bandwidth memory, HBM. What do you have to say about this, guys?
I say this is the only major American RAM NAND manufacturer aside from SK Hynix and Samsung, which are obviously South Korean. Why the hell are they building two plants in Singapore when the Trump administration has been quite clear that they want reshoring or friendshoring or whatever shoring, and they also want to reshore the chip supply, the microchip and semiconductor chip supply. So this is, as Sia mentioned, the second plant that they're building in Singapore. Now I get obviously, the strengths of having, or the advantages of having a plant in Singapore. It gives you a lot of access to a lot of talent that comes from Asian countries. It's very specific work, as we've seen with Taiwan Semiconductor. But this is, to me, a little eyebrow raiser here, and especially because they're adding to this new clean room facility. So they already have something under construction. They're going to add 700,000 square feet to that existing one, in addition to the one that they're building for their advanced packaging plant. So I don't know. I don't like this story from a geopolitical sense, but obviously it's making sense for the company, and they're probably gonna clean up on this. Joey, I mean, they say that the packaging facility that they're building right now is going to be ready in 27. This new expansion for the NAND is going to be second half of 28. So we still got a bit of a runway here, but it's still within President Trump's term. The completion of those. So I don't know how this all jives.
It's very interesting. Obviously, there's certain reasons why they're not. They still have investment within America as well, too, right? They're investing in new plants as well. Lutnick made them invest more and more and more, and across the board, we've seen it. But as for Micron technology, this is insane. We're new all-time high. The street likes it. Singapore, they must like this street. $414 is that new all-time high here on MU, and continuing to climb. And it looks like there's going to be no stopping it anytime soon. Now, we talk about obviously the inventory within RAM. It's either there's extreme demand for it or there isn't. But right now it seems to be the case that there is. But the real question is going to be, how are we going to be looking by the time that these factories are made in 2027 and 2028?
And yes, very good point, which leads me to the next one. We've seen a glut of inventory with RAM, and Micron sold off quite aggressively. They couldn't even move it, Joey. There was just so much of it, they didn't need it. But obviously, that's not the case right now.
That's not the case.
Everybody and their mother is trying to get RAM.
Exactly.
But these things are cyclical.
Exactly. But I think with the build out as well, too, you're going to see an increase. And if that is going to be sustained for the foreseeable future, which it is going to be, then maybe
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I don't think we're going to be quite ready yet for for the build out.
No.
I think the build out's going to multi-year.
Well, I mean, think about it. We just went over Microsoft. How many more plants are they building?
Exactly.
There, right, from a data center standpoint.
And from a cost perspective, too, we saw Microsoft getting into the custom ASICs game yesterday, right? With their own chip that's being designed by Marvell.
Yep.
So we're going to see cost controls there, too.
Absolutely. And this is what Obi and I were talking about a little bit as well, too. So you're getting into the custom silicon, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like Tesla in the EV space in EU, right? When you hold all of this market share, there's only one way you can essentially go. And I'm going to compare that to NVDA, right? Like holding the majority of the market share.
Yeah.
And when you have these custom players start to come into the game, there's only one way that market share can go for NVDA, in my opinion.
And that was my concern. I've been yapping about this for 2 months now, 3 months.
And I'm not saying that's not going to be detrimental to NVDA. No, there's still going to be high levels of demand.
Hold on.
But you'll see the majority, the total, obviously, market share that they have slowly start to decrease.
But dude, Nvidia picked up a customs ASIC company, so they're super alive.
They're prepared to play with the game.
And people were talking about antitrust concerns. Well, why? I mean, look who they're competing with: Broadcom, Marvell, others. I mean, these are not small players. Where's the antitrust here?
Exactly.
Right?
Absolutely.
All right, we got a super. And by the way, NUAI, I'm being told, is breaking out into day's highs. It is 718 high, up 11 and 4/5. Thank you, Assassino, Adam, James. $5 super chat. Afternoon, gents. Terrible 2 days for me, especially after last week. Have you looked at XHLD? I've been trading it all morning, my man. Today, Sharif, maybe squeeze. Haven't been there today. Here is the chart right now on XHLD, and we just got the Beak-Wet into the high of the day at 95. This will be, I think, my best winner on the day. It hasn't been a great day for me as a result of BNAI, but this one was good. So we went the Beak there at the high of the day, but it is breaking down now into the 60s. XHLD still putting in higher lows, though, and higher highs, Adam. So I don't necessarily hate this one. What I would say is look at the 50 penny level. If there are buyers in and around there, it's been clean. Otherwise, it's VWAP at around 240. It's been a clean hold of VWAP for the majority of the day. But, obviously, always use stop. Shout out to Adam, and thank you for the super chat there.
Absolutely.
See ya. What do we got next?
Next up, we have Cloudflare surging on AI agent buzz around Cloudbot. Cloudbot also recently changed its name to Moat with the tagline that the AI that actually does things. News on here. Shares surged 12% pre-market after extending a 9.6% gain from Monday. And the move is sentiment-driven, sparked by social media buzz over Cloudbot. Cloudbot is an open source AI agent that is designed to work with Anthropic's Claude, but not owned or directed by Anthropic itself. It runs locally on devices, and a couple analyst commentaries here. RBC Capital said that investors are making a derivative call on rising AI workloads. Wolf Research also described Cloudbot as an AI employee and called it a big moment for edge computing. Cloudflare's global edge network is also viewed as well-suited for AI agents that need fast, secure execution. What do you have to say about this, guys?
Exactly your last point. That's where Cloudflare comes into this whole thing. It seems like they're moving away from their niche, right? They're getting these agentic AI kind of thing like this Claudebot, open source or not. It's not typically their moat, except when you talk about, yes, that secure low latency network, which is kind of their bread and butter. So this makes sense to me from that angle. Now, what I kind of I get the vibe coding thing, and that seems to be super important right now. but this open source AI agent, it says it's designed to work with Anthropic's Claude, not owned or developed by Anthropic itself. What I like about this, though, runs locally on device. So this could be sort of that small language model as opposed to the large language models that we've been talking about. Apple kind of spearheading that a little bit, wanting to keep everything, well, some things, not everything, locally on device for privacy issues. I think that probably is important. We've seen this as well. Your boy CRM and Benioff talked a lot about this. He's like, a lot of people don't want to upload sensitive client information or sensitive, technical IP that, their company is really trying to protect onto these, broad networking clients, or sorry, not clients, but institutions like Cloudflare, AWS, and whatever. They want to save it locally. They want to store that information locally. That requires you to have the small or large language model being run locally. So that's important as well. I think that probably gives it more of a secure edge as opposed to uploading it to the cloud. But it's nice to see that, the analysts are giving this a nod.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to add to your point there, Sharif. As for kind of the privacy thing, a lot of my friends that work for higher corporations aren't allowed to use the basic LLMs like Gemini and ChatGPT because they don't want that company plugging in that information, right, going to the public. But other than that, the street is absolutely responsibly is acting kind of, the word I'm looking for, has responded nicely here to that pop-up. You're giving up a little bit of that move, but that's not too bad whatsoever. A nice move here in Cloudflare. There is still somewhat of a supply zone that we're experiencing right now. We run into that 220 zone, and then we start to come back a little bit in, down $10 off of that specific area, but nothing to cry home about. But I like what they got going on. The privacy is going to be absolutely huge. And I know we got something on CRM momentarily that I'm going to be looking
but I want to read Ichiro's comment over here. A good take there. It does, in terms of security, I think that's what we're talking about, Ichiro, but he's like, you also want API access to an LLM for anything useful. It's still too expensive, though, for local LLMs, anything useful, but businesses 100% can. Yeah, well, because it's going to cost a lot more. So that's kind of what I was talking about, Ichiro, B2B as opposed to B2C here in this specific case. But it looks like, they don't say it's just B2B, but my thinking was that it would be focused on that. Separately, I also want to say, Cloudflare has been in a lot of people's, bad books lately because of the outages. So that's something that I would say, probably needs to be, you need to view it through that lens as well. Now, that's not exclusive to them, but I definitely would be viewing it through that lens, not exclusively though. Adara, what's your take on net?
Well, you actually gave me like a beautiful runway here, Sharif, because my issue with Cloudflare is the outages. And here's the thing, I have no problem with a business trying to expand, trying new things, expanding their moat. I support it. But why are you doing that when you can't keep X alive? Like, especially for financial news, the amount that you rely on X is quite significant. And there are times, there are full half-hour periods where I just cannot get on X either entirely or to a degree that's reliable or regularly updating. Even today, I got a notification about X. I'm like, guys, please stop. So I think if you're not going to get your house in order, maybe don't, add a new front lawn or start renovations. Just start with the basic house, make sure that's all looking tidy, then you can move on. Yeah, I mean, I know my anger's flaring up here over Cloudflare, but I just have a lot of issues with how this business is choosing to operate itself. That being said, I will give the analyst notes credit. I will concede with what they're talking to, what they're specifically speaking about. I do think there's obviously a lot of excitement there. I'm not trying to diss the Claude bot thing and Cloudflare's involvement. What I do have an issue with, though, is that the company is even getting involved or being touted for this when they have not settled other issues. And I am going to make a comparison because you could obviously go, well, Adara, Tesla has a million different things going on. They've got all the different businesses. But the difference is, with Tesla, it's not like, the cyber taxis are sitting on fire in the middle of the street, just to use an example, right? I'm trying to compare the outages. There's just things are happening. A lot of things are happening at different times. With Cloudflare, we have a situation where one part of your core business is actively and repeatedly malfunctioning. And that is my issue. And that's why I think this Cloudflare situation is unique. And I just wanted to opine on that for a bit. But I mean, nice look with Claude bot. Just focus on the other stuff first, guys.
Thank you very much for that. Shout out to the OG Bovin, RZLV, breaking out midday, about 10% in the Ville of Green, topping till candle though into 318. Watch out for this one. It's done volume, 18.7 million shares, and a lot of volume coming in locally here on this bar. This has about over 700,000 shares of volume. Also, we've been kind of building up that volume after that chasm of no volume midday. So RZLV, thank you, Bovin, for calling that one out. What do we got next, Osia?
Salesforce that's landed a massive U.S. Army contract. This contract details are as follows. Salesforce has secured a potential $5.6 billion, that is a 10-year IDIQ contract with the U.S. Army, which drove a positive pre-market reaction. And the award was issued via Computable Insights LLC, which is a wholly owned Salesforce subsidiary. The Army is planning to use Salesforce's compliant cloud and trusted data stack to connect fragmented system and accelerate certain decision making. And contribution details will be discussed on the Q4 earnings call. CRM shares were up 1.79 pre-market to $233.5, which reflected optimism. What do you have to say about this, guys?
Well, who does CrowdStrike think they are? Salesforce think they are, man. Palantir. Like, this is a second government contract in like so many days. They had a prior Army contract that they won there, including that HR command modernization, also AI enabled. So good look. And I do like government contracts. I don't like to rely exclusively on them, but government contracts can be stickier than these more commercial contracts where, you know, the government doesn't really, is less inclined to want to switch up providers. So good, you know, move there. It says, by the way, a potential $5.6 billion deal. So you kind of feel it's dependent upon, you know, how much usage or what the details end up being. But I do like this, Joey. You know, CRM definitely in need of some local wins here.
Yeah,
it's been a tough.
Yeah, you know who doesn't like it though, Sharif?
Who? The market?
The street. Yeah.
Right back down.
Yeah, right back down. I don't know what's going on here with Salesforce and company. You're striking government deals left, right, and center, and you're like, hey, who do they think they are? Palantir. Well, if this was Palantir, it would be up another 10-15% in the intraday. That doesn't seem to be the case. I don't know what's going on with Benioff's agent force. The way he speaks about it, he's obviously gaining more commercial customers. He's getting more government contracts as well, too. But for some reason, the street still does not like the stock whatsoever. And it's a repeat offender, just moving sideways continuously, even though they just struck a $5.6 billion 10-year deal.
Can I give my personal opinion as to why this? I think his business model, which is CRM, client relation management, right, which is client software, I think that's going to be basically taken over by AI. You're going to be able to kind of have that run locally, and you're not going to need his software. And when he's talking about agent force, fantastic. Everybody else is getting into agentic AI. It's by no means exclusive to him. But I think his moat might be disrupted by the general AI use. Right. I mean,
that's fair. And I forget exactly what he was saying, but there was something that differs agent force from the typical AI agent, and it was something along the lines of just the amount of it's like Google and the amount of data that he's collected, considering the commercial, right? He's like, hey, we have so many different variables, because when you're using an AI agent, it's almost like, hey, you go, what is the question? You go from point A to point B, but he has that point A, 1A, 1B, 1C, and et cetera, right? And he can get more in depth, and I think that's what kind of separates agent force from the typical AI agent.
Fair enough. All right. I see that we got United Health next, Sia. Oh, boy.
Yeah, we do. United Health has beat its earnings per share, but there is a certain revenue decline here. So United Health Group posted a modest Q4 earnings beat, but with an EPS of 2.11 versus the 2.10 that was expected. Revenue came in light at $113.2 billion, which missed expectations of 113.82. But United Health also guided 2026 revenue above $439 billion, which is implying a 2% year-over-year decline, which is well below the $454.6 billion Street estimate. Management also flagged this as the first revenue decline in a decade, which is driven by deliberate right seizing. Also, a new leadership team is executing a turnaround strategy, which is focused on shrinking membership, raising prices, cutting benefits, as well as improving transparency. And United Health is expecting a U.S. membership decline of over 3 million lives in 2026, which is pressuring certain top-line growth. What do you have to say about this?
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I'll get to the fundamentals part, but this is it, guys. Guys, we were up into 357. We're down into 281. This thing's down 20% in a day. Now it's done worse, as you can see. What happened back? I don't want to laugh about this, but what happened back in April? Obviously, we all know, and it was down 25%. This is a week. Excuse me, 25% in a week. And then in 2 weeks, it was down 31. And then 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, it lost 60% of its value in 6 weeks. So this is something that can obviously move quite aggressively, and I think it's probably single-handedly why the Dow is still down on the day 1%, while all the other major averages are either flat or decidedly positive. So UNH, a tough look, a real tough look. Now let's get into the actual nitty-gritty. What kind of a company says we're focused on shrinking our membership, raising prices, especially if you're a healthcare company, and the cost of healthcare is absolutely in focus, not the least of which because the Affordable Health Care Act isn't getting renewed in Congress. Why would you say we're going to increase our prices and cut the benefits? Like, that's just, I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on with their PR department there, but those are not things that I would say. And, I don't think it's over for this company.
Sharif, what was the last point there? I heard you and Brendo say it a couple of times. What is the last point that they have on there?
What do you mean?
They're going to be more transparent.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
they're
right.
Getting it
Silver lining.
They're giving it to you straight, and they're saying, "Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to cut our clients, and we're going to increase the prices
and cut benefits.
And cut benefits,
dude.
So,
like, that's
I don't know.
Super tone deaf.
Yeah, it's extremely tone deaf, and it couldn't be more transparent. And then unfortunately, it's not for the better, in my opinion.
No, not at all.
It's not a good business. I don't know who allowed them to release that. I don't think that's the most ideal thing. But if you want to talk about transparency, there it is. You're getting it.
Yeah, straight up. Like, this is not the type of transparency I think that they mentioned. But yeah, your point well taken.
You know what I mean?
I personally don't like it. Do you have any technicals you want to talk about?
Yeah, no, but there's not much, man. The thing's down 41% year to date for 2025. It's flat revenue, flat to down revenue guide for 2026, and ongoing Medicare Advantage and Part D funding headwinds led to sharp equity reaction with the stock down over 16% in the pre-market. So UNH is not looking good. I wouldn't be looking to buy this stock anytime soon.
Dragonbot, look, I just want to play devil's advocate because Dragonbot brings up a good point here. Sharif, they are cutting out money-losing customers. That's good. Yes, and from a profitability balance sheet, loss and gain kind of thing, I get that, which is right. But I think we have to be sensitive in this space because the customers that they're not making money on are probably the customers that need healthcare the most.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
You know what I mean? And it's just not a good look to say to someone, yeah, you're sick and this is going to cost several thousand, if not more, dollars, but sorry, bro, we need to look after the shareholders. It's ugly.
The old Trudeau shrug.
It's ugly. I hate it. I hate this story.
Yeah, it's not. That's how it is. It's sickening.
All right, let's move on to something better. See ya.
Let's actually move on to something better. GM, General Motors, beats its Q4 earnings per share, and also it has boosted dividend and has authorized a $6 billion buyback. General Motors has delivered a strong Q4 earnings beat. The EPS that has been coming as 2.51, topping the 2.20 consensus estimate. The revenue also came in at $45.29 billion, which is slightly below the expectations of $45.8 billion. Q4 included a net loss of $3.3 billion due to over $7.2 billion in special charges, largely tied to EV pullbacks and China restructuring. But the charges also include $357 million in legal matters, OnStar and airbags, and $133 million related to Cruise and minor HQ relocation costs. Management also framed these charges as cleanup actions. What do you have to say about this, guys?
So I like it. Mary Barra is a hell of a CEO. Let's just cut the crap, okay? She's turning around this company. Fast and better than Ford, better than Stellantis. I like what I'm seeing here from GM, but I think that there are headwinds, obviously, not the least of which is the reshuffling and the refocus from purely battery electric vehicles into these new energy vehicles, Joey.
I think that's the route.
They're taking the Li Auto model, right? I don't know if Li Auto pioneered this, but to me, they're the pioneers. You put a battery on there, it's good for maybe 150, 200 kilometers, so it's not long range, but it's enough for, city driving. More than you and I would need in probably a week, okay?
Absolutely.
And then you throw on a gas engine, but it doesn't power the car. It recharges the battery. So you get that acceleration, you get the purely electric vehicle, but you also get like 1,000 to 1,300 kilometers worth of range. And that is better than the gas cars we have here. So I like the shift. I don't think it's gonna be easy for them to shift that quickly because let's just cut the crap. They're unionized. And unionized companies, hard to maneuver and make 180-degree turns because the union stands in front of you. They don't want any job cuts. They don't want any hour reductions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Going on to some of the more fundamental stuff, 20% increase in quarterly dividend, $6 billion share buyback to drop that float from 1.2 billion to 904. That puts money back into the shareholders' hand. I don't dislike anything that I've heard here other than maybe, some of the charges that they took because of, what's it called, OnStar and that cruise thing.
Fair enough, right? And I think that's the shift that needs to be made because we had a lot of talks here that there wants to be a complete rotation into EVs. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case here, Sharif. We know that they dumped that segment a long time ago. They're like, we can't do this. We're not going to be able to compete whatsoever. But to get into that hybrid game, I think is most definitely the route that they want to go.
Like
some of the numbers aren't the best, right? You're like, you have revenue of 2025 down 5.1% year over year. They're taking some big charges and everything along those lines. But I think that's a big fundamental shift so they can become more competitive within this space. And I don't know how much of an effect it's going to be because now we're talking about 3% of Canada's vehicle supply coming from, they're going to be Teslas and everything. But it's still going to have somewhat of an impact on some of these legacy names.
That's interesting, man. Yeah, all right. I don't really have too much more to say about this other than their international operations have apparently improved materially. $737 million in earnings internationally. That includes South Korea, Brazil, the Middle East, etc. North American sales are still their profit engine, probably because of their trucks. It saw a decline of 28.1% though. Wow, North American profits, their profits dropped to 28.1%, not the top line number. China, equity income improved, $316 million loss, so still losing money in China, but that's a big difference from the $4.4 billion they lost in China in 2024. So that's a cleanup there, $4.4 billion to $316 million. That's not too bad. I mean, other than that, did you look at the technicals? Let's take a quick look at GM's technicals, see what the situation is on GM. Shout out to General Motors.
One more thing here.
Is this all-time highs? Nobody's talking about all-time highs on GM.
That's crazy.
At least as far back. Okay. Because remember the restructuring from the bankruptcy after the GFC?
The bailout.
The bailout that they got. This is freaking all-time highs, and this thing has been a rocket ship since November of 23. This is up 228% since November of 23. Okay, I didn't even realize that GM is at all-time highs here. Am I wrong, guys? Were we higher before the restructuring, before GFC? Because my chart doesn't go back that far. If I'm wrong, let me know. I'm just seeing if anybody's...
Nick Dub, our guy got our super chat here.
Go ahead,
from our
Joey.
boy Nick Dub. All right, let's see what we got going on. Did we go through all of them? We got Adam James. Yeah, sorry, my boy HPN. Sorry that you had a couple hits. You'll rebound, no problem. And you're also on a warm beach somewhere, so you can't be too worried about that or cry too much about what you got going on from a trading standpoint. All right, Nick W. Sharif, really like Path long term. Looking to buy a large call option lead position at 1290. Thoughts?
That's your world.
Well, I mean, he said Sharif.
Yeah, I know, but you're asking about calls. UiPath, I don't like the chart. This is the weekly on the chart right here. Let me just look at the chart and then you can smash.
I don't need to after that.
It looks like $10, $11 area support, but this is coming from, I don't want to laugh, right? But this is coming from pandemic era highs where we may never see those highs again. I mean, I don't know. Let's go to the daily, get a bit more nuanced of a view here on UiPath. The daily looks a bit better if you remove COVID. Okay, so we're breaking out, I want to say, of that $15 to $16 range. We were into 20. We're down below it right now into 14. Look, it looks like it's respecting, at least locally here, the purple line. That purple line is the 200 simple moving average. I keep the blue one, which is the exponential, and I keep the simple because sometimes, obviously, you get different views. If we break this 1250 area, I'd get the hell out of there, but I don't like the chart. Joey, what do you see from the option side?
Yeah, let's take a look at path here. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? Like, Sharif, we're looking at the technicals the same thing, right? So all we're going to use is a derivative. Now, what are you trying to do? You got to ask yourself that. Now, if it's a steady into the down and to the right, then you may not want to be necessarily getting involved with this. So UiPath, not looking too good, and especially with a leap. Now, we can go to a long-term contract that's expiring, what I mean by a longer-term contract, eventually all of them come into a shorter duration.
Yes,
but what the examples that I've been showing you guys in the morning is that the majority of these longer-term contracts, Sharif, when the volume really starts to step in, is when they start to lose the majority of their value, all right? So they really, really start to decrease. So unless UiPath starts to work relatively quick, regardless if you're buying a leap or something that expires relatively quick, the chances are, unless it moves swiftly and very fast in your favor, you're going to lose money on those contracts. So if you really like the name, just buy the shares. It's not that expensive. Yeah, I understand that you don't get to leverage your system as much as you can, but also you're going to keep your money a little bit more safe. You set your stop, and then you allow those shares to work out, and within a year, if it hasn't done what you want, then you can just dump the shares, opposed to losing 90 to 95% of the contract's value.
All right, let's get to the super chat. Shout out to Danny Boy.
Yeah, this is my guy,
He's dropping 20 in the chat. I love this. I love this. It is so funny.
This guy, man.
Speaking of transparency, it's so funny. Are you guys sick and tired of cheese cut so thin you can see through it? If so, then SCDI is the stolen cheese dispenser company for you. I love this infomercial disguised as a super chat. Yeah. Or low overhead keeps our cheese thicker than ever. I tried to look for SCDI.
That's crazy.
But I don't even know what that is.
Bro, this is his made-up company. You didn't hear what this guy said one day? He's like, hey, someone was talking about something.
I looked for it like an idiot.
Bro, you actually looked for it? Stolen cheese dispenser? He's like, man, we go into bathrooms of restaurants, we take the paper towel dispenser, and we convert them into cheese dispensers. Yeah, this is what this guy is saying.
Fantastic.
Like, stolen cheese dispenser company. This guy is a complete joker. It's hilarious. I love that type of...
And I'm the idiot who falls for it, man.
Sharif, you would buy shares of SCDI.
I'm punching it right now.
This thing, yeah, we got to get this thing in the derivatives market as well, too. Buy the leaps in SCDI.
Papacito,
yeah, thank you.
We're very happy for you, brother. Made $2,000. Be blessed, everyone. Thank you so much, Papacito. Dropping 6.9 shekels and Katina Man spinning the money for you there. There's Miss V and Brendo going in circles. And with that note, Joey, we're sending it back to Siete.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. UPS has beat EPS. United Parcel Service has reported better than expected results with an adjusted EPS of 2.38, beating the consensus of 2.2. Quarterly revenue declined 3.2% year over year to $21.5 billion, but shares rallied 3.7% pre-market, and FedEx, its peer, traded 1%, which is a good sign for UPS, signaling relative strength. The decline, however, was driven by lower shipment volume, which management had already telegraphed, and revenue per price rose 8.3%, highlighting certain improved pricing discipline and better mix. Let's talk about a couple international strengths here. International package revenue increased 2.5% to $5.1 billion, topping the $5 billion estimate, and revenue per piece jumped 7.1%, suggesting a certain solid demand and pricing leverage outside the United States.
Thank you, Sia, for that. So, you know, sometimes UPS, FedEx, they're kind of looked at as bellwethers of the economy because, you know, it's kind of like if you've ever studied Dow theory, Dow transports are kind of like that leading indicator. As transports sell off, then the economy starts suffering. If they move up, the economy follows. I don't know if it's that anymore. I think because strategically it's shifted. Number one, they're weaning off Amazon. They were one of Amazon's biggest, obviously, distributors for their packages. Amazon now focusing on their own logistics. So that's one. Two, what else? There was something else here. Not domestic revenue, but it was what? Volume, post-pandemic volume normalization. So they were saying, you know, people got so used to ordering online during the pandemic, and it kind of continued after it for a couple of years, and that's dropping. And that's, you can kind of see that because 3.2% year-over-year decline in the revenue. I like how the revenue per piece rose 8.3%, which means that they're being a lot more cost efficient, even though shipments are down. It's never bad when a company becomes more efficient, but let's look at it, Joey.
Yeah.
Let's, Assassino, let's show them what's on the chart over there. Yeah, this is not a good looking chart. So we're basically back down into the pandemic levels. Right, we're a little bit off that at the moment. We're kind of off the low, the March 2020 low, which was about $82, but we held it. Did you see that? We held the pandemic level like a glove. So that March 2020 sell-off that everybody remembers, well, we were just back there, I think, a couple of weeks ago in September and October at those levels. Since that time, it's kind of reclaimed the 50 on the weekly. But yeah, this is off the high, Joey. Let's just take that, you know, what's it called? 2022 high to the September low, lost 65% of its value.
Yeah.
Not down 65% right now, but at the lows it was. So I don't know how I feel about UPS.
It's a tough look, but I think they're taking a couple steps in the right direction, Sharif.
Okay.
And what you mentioned here before with the Amazon partnership, so it's deliberately shrinking low-margin Amazon volume and using automation and network relations to protect its margins. The Amazon parcels are being cut by over 50% by mid-2026, freeing capacity for higher-margin healthcare SMB. They also acquired something else that helped, another segment that helped grow and increase margins as well, too. But the outlook, not too bad. Guidance at midpoint $89.7 billion, up 2%. It's a tough look, but they're starting to cut. A lot of job cuts as well, to 20,000 to 48,000 by obviously at the end of 2025. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously with employees being somewhat of the higher expense for a lot of companies, they're starting to take some steps in the right direction, but still a competitive space.
Right, yeah, it definitely feels that way. All right, Sia, I see that we got Northrop Grumman up next, and that is one of my yearly picks. Oh, boy.
Yep, Northrop has beat its Q4 estimates on defense demand. It reported an EPS of $7.23, beating the 6.97 consensus by 3.79%. Quarterly sales have reached $11.712 billion, which topped the expectations of $11.626 billion, which is up 9.6% year over year. Also, we know that the heightened global tensions, including the Middle East and the Russia-Ukraine war, the conflict has continued to support certain demand for advanced defense systems. The aeronautics sales have jumped by 18% year over year, which is driven by the B-21 Raider long-range strike program and the fuel stage work for Lockheed Martin's F-35. Northrop's forecast for 2026 revenue of between $43.5 to $44 billion, which is below the $44.24 billion Wall Street estimate. What do you have to say?
Okay, I like this company. I think it made all-time highs today. I don't think it's up on the day, but it did get into all-time highs today. Let's see if it ends up recovering. It was negative, I think, 2% in the pre-market. But here's why I like it. Number one, we saw with the Venezuela, let's just call it operation, that stealth is super important. And also losing people or avoiding the loss of human life, probably even more important. And that's what you're getting with this B-21 Raider. It's a new stealth bomber. It's going to be autonomous from what I'm understanding, or I think it's both, actually. So the B-21 Raider, that is their thing. With Northrop, kind of why I chose it. And then number two, they're the biggest contractor on the F-35. Now, the F-35, some people call it a turkey. Some other people say it's a good airplane for multi-use. The point is, though, I think they're going to sell a lot of these. The F-35, that is. And I think that's forming part of the negotiation that President Trump is trying to make with these trade deals, that he's trying to include sales of military equipment to these countries that are striking deals. So that's why I like Northrop, for exactly that reason, the B-21 Raider, and they're the biggest contractor on the F-35. Whether or not they can kind of meet demand or kind of exceed, I should say, expectations, we'll have to wait and see. They guided light, though. So that's what I didn't like about that. They beat on the top and bottom line, no problem, but the earnings, the guidance here. So they're forecasting 2026 revenue, 43.5 to 44. That's below the 44.2, but not that far below. Now, I'm not trying to make excuses for the company because I'm involved in them, or I'm actually not involved in this, by the way, personally. This is just one of my picks. I'm not actually invested in it, but I do feel maybe that they're one of those ones where you set the expectations kind of low, and then what am I trying to say? You
set the expectations
under promise and over deliver. That's kind of what I think. We'll have to wait and see, man. But those are the two reasons that I like it.
Interesting stuff. All right, guys. Today's segment is brought to you by Electrocore Inc., traded on the Nasdaq under ticker ECOR. Electrocore Inc. is a commercial-stage bioelectric medicine company using non-invasive neuromodulation to address chronic pain, headache, and wellness conditions. The company recently reported record revenue, guided to approximately $30 million for full year 2025, and strengthened its balance sheet following the integration of Neurometrics and its Quell platform. With high-margin recurring revenue, growing VA and consumer channels, and a clear path towards improved cash flow, Electrocore is positioning itself at the intersection of medical technology and wellness innovation. To learn more, visit electrocore.com or follow the company under ECOR. All right, well, congratulations, Sharif. There you go. You got a new all-time high right there on NOC. Northrop Grumman running into a new all-time high today, up to $680. So that's a pretty nice move right there. A couple percentage points on that. But segment performance, aeronautics, sales up 18% year over year, operating income 20% year over year, mission systems up 10%, operating income 9% on that, defense sales up 7%, operating income down 2%, but that's small potatoes, space systems sales up 5% year over year, and operating income up 17% year over year. Double-digit growth, we're not going to complain about that whatsoever.
Double digits, and I want to make one thing clear. I know Neil, one of Neil's picks was a drone company. And I kind of went back and forth between taking, a traditional defense contractor and, a newer one that's focusing more on like 21st century warfare, which is obviously, as we can see in Europe and everywhere else, drones feature large in it. So I kind of went back and forth, but I still really like these kind of emerging, defense names. Obviously, Anduril is not publicly traded, but I like that kind of tech bro, Palmer Luckey style, founder, small startup, disrupting, the bigger names like your Raytheons, your Northrops, etc. I like that. I would invest in both if I was investing, and I have no money right now in defense names. Probably a mistake, and I might change that, but I did want to mention that. And shout out to Kelly Johnson. If you know, you know. Skunkworks.
Hey, Kelly.
Yeah.
RTX has beat Q4 estimates. RTX posted an adjusted EPS of 1.55, beating expectations of 1.47. Quarterly sales have also climbed 12% to $24.2 billion, which is above the estimates of $22.7 billion. And RTX also reported a total backlog of $268 billion, which is a split between $161 billion in commercial and $107 billion in defense. Demand for missiles and munitions also, as we know it, continues to surge amid the geopolitical tensions and global security concerns. Additional thing to note here is that the Pentagon has been actively urging weapon makers to increase production rates due to low stockpiles currently. And U.S. defense leaders are streamlining procurement processes to speed up weapons purchases and broaden supplier access. So RTX has guided 2026 adjusted EPS of 6.6 to 6.8, which is bracketing the 6.71 consensus. And adjusted sales are expected at $92 billion, between $92 billion and $93 billion, which is in line with Wall Street expectations of $92.5 billion.
I could have said the same thing for Northrop. I think the same applies here for Raytheon. We saw President Trump and his dismay for the share buybacks, because that money is, you know, just putting money into shareholders' pockets by obviously buying back shares and increasing the price. But what it's not doing is, number one, investing in R&D. Number two, investing in scale and capacity so that they could produce these things more and more quickly. And I think that that's what, you know, President Trump wants. And I think that that's what the world needs. I hate to say this because these are obviously weapons or, you know, machines to kill people, but we definitely need defense spending. We're seeing exactly what's happening with the world. We need to be pragmatic. So I do like that. But I also feel that could be, you know, a bit restraining, Joey. Like, you don't typically tell a company, a private company, a publicly traded company, but owned by shareholders, of course, you know, how to spend their money and where, you know, where to allocate that money. But if you're looking at it from, you know, get something done and deliver these things, you're kind of forcing them to do that, though, by kind of calling them out in the way that he did and forcing them not to buy shares back.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I mean, as for these defense names, we just went through Northrop Grumman, and sure enough, an all-time high. Same thing here with RTX. You're just hovering around that zone, $200. I wouldn't be surprised if we surpassed that. As for segment growth, obviously Collins Aerospace growing as well too. Raytheon Missiles and Defense 7% year over year. So a lot going on with these defense names as they continue to climb up and to the right, and that's exactly what you want to see. Well, I don't know if that's what you.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what you want to see, but that's the case here from a technical standpoint.
It's a reality that we're in.
It is a reality.
Do you think that defense names are one of the best performing sectors of 26?
26. It depends what's going on.
You know, you can.
Well, think about it. So if Ukraine and Russia come to a deal, if Donald Trump gets that deal done, maybe we see a slide in some of the defense names, right? What's going on with Venezuela is already essentially over. They're just looking to cook up a little bit of oil in there now at this point. What is that next big thing? I don't know. I don't know. I think if the deal in Ukraine gets done, you might see a little bit of a pullback.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I think it'd be a local pullback, but I personally, just my opinion, it doesn't change the narrative fundamentally enough. I think that, you know, you're getting the world rearming, whether it's like Germany rearming, Japan now they're talking about rearming as well under the new prime minister there. So I think the world is going in one direction. You know, I mean, we have to be ready for a big one.
And I think, you know what's unfortunate about all of this stuff, and I'm speaking from experience, and I'm not saying necessarily in a bad way, you know where I stand in this position, but when you have all these big and fancy toys, what do you want to do with them?
Well said, man. It empowers you.